I want to tell you about one of our entries. It's called Orange Creamsicle. It's by Tricoat Heavy Extractions. It's a frozen pop. It should taste amazing. And this is a true test right here, right down here. This is Tony Turkey. How is that Orange Creamsicle, Tony?
Turn down for what?
Turn down for what?
That's Tony Turkey coming.
Conniption, a morning conniption is never a bad thing on a Sunday morning. You know, you might stub your toe on the way to the shower, or hash church might not work. Fuck, shit, fuck, pardon my French if there's children in the room. I really don't like when it works, but hey, we're live, and I'm going to send out the links here right away to my friends, and let's see if we can't get that going. Apologies, everyone, for my sketchy balledness here. I'm operating on a few different computers. And let's see if we can make it work. Let's see if it's going to go live. It hasn't gone live yet, as far as I can see. Let me re-flip that up. The stream was definitely not stable.
But you see,
there we go.
There you go.
Sorry about that, guys. A bit of technical difficulties there, and yeah, we're going to definitely have to keep our mics muted today when we're not talking, because I don't have my headphones, unfortunately. But Ro lent me his computer, so I'm on a nice computer that works, and this little piece of poo, we're just going to give that a toss that over there. Just joking.
Did it hit it?
All right, we're back, everybody. Let's just start right over. Welcome to Bubbleman's World. Welcome to Hash Church, episode 151. I'm here over at High Integrity Glass Art today, and we're with the Sasquatch team. And yeah, we're squashing. We are squashing.
You gonna show it? You gonna show us that sexy glass you got there?
Sexy glass. What glass do I have?
Yeah, I mean, if you're at High Integrity Glass, I know you're in Glassland.
Oh, he's hitting it.
Gotta be there.
He's hitting it. Come get that shit over here. It's a Dosa Banger Hanger.
Ooh, pretty.
And High Integrity just.
Ooh, wow! Look at that.
Oh no, somebody else.
Nice and vibrant too. Oh, look at that dichro work.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like beautiful line work. Dosa's just stacking them on top of one another. How many layers of lines is that? What's that? Double layers, yeah. Very sweet. So sorry about that technical difficulties and me mildly losing my shit.
Okay, say it looks very
similar
to the Jesse, the hippo pipe.
Yeah, I think that's kind of banger hanger style. A little bit different, but definitely it is a pipe and it is glass, and you can smoke hash through it. Oh, so how are you guys doing here today? Sunday morning, we're gonna press some hash. This little M1 is awesome. Little unit.
So what flavor are you squishing?
Well, yesterday we squished some. What was the Medman cultivar? Head stash or head? Actually. Squished pretty nice, but the one we really liked, which was from Karma Genetics, and it was the biker hash or biker whatever crossed with Amnesia Haze. Biker Kush, right? Well, we called it here in BC. It's been called Biker Bob. It's been called like a few different things. But yeah, Biker Kush crossed with Amnesia Haze. And that thing spit out 29% return in a single press. We got 2.3 grams from 8 grams.
What temp?
What were we at, 200?
220.
Were we up that high for the bike?
Yeah.
220. 220 degrees.
I like press it at 230. That sounds awesome going down to 220.
Yeah, 230 is like that's like you're maybe dabbing at 800, 900 degrees. That's just a little bit warm. I don't want
like that.
I know you do, but you also love hot dabs, 800, 900 degree dabs. And I'm not making
But you
fun.
just sleep. You're good.
You like hot dabs. Yeah, he uses cannabis for pain relief. And I'll tell you one thing, like if you're using cannabis as pain relief and you're hitting like super like waste it to taste it, you're wasting it. It's not efficient to waste it to taste the position that you want to leave.
Well,
like I puffed with him and I've hit hot dabs with Johnny B, and dude, I'll tell you, we get ripped. He'll look over at me, he'll be like, "You want a hot dab?"
These low temp dabs, they're tasty. I really like the flavor. And it'll be like in the morning when I'm feeling pretty good. But as the day progresses, I like to turn the heat up. I like the 620. But if I'm in a lot of pain, yeah, 710 and up for me. I've hit dabs at 900 by accident, and I'm like, dude, that just like rocked me. So
right.
I mean, it really depends on the person and how and what they're going through to determine how they want to do it.
That's awesome, dude.
Like
everyone gets to do it differently. What's going on, Sub Cool? Story we didn't get to say hi to you the other day. You're driving. That's awesome.
I've hit dabs at 900 by accident. And I'm like, dude, that just like rocked me. So it's like he's taking us to a field.
Yeah, he's like, let's go, Bubble Man. I'm fucking taking you and your Hash Church crew. I'll show you what Sub Cool does. We nerds.
So he's in this little thing. I can see this. He's like, I'm gonna go check him.
He's got a big red Muppet right next to him, it looks like.
I know, I love the Muppet. What's going on? Sub's in the house.
I just wanted to come by. I wanted to come by and listen to Squishy talk. It's my new hobby is smashing things. So
right, well,
I can learn anything.
We got Matt right here from Sasquatch.
Dude, I love my V2, man. I had a slow start because there's about 8 million opinions on how to do it. But last night, I actually cranked it up to about 10 tons with low heat on my flowers, and I saw it run for the first time. I had shit dripping down oil slick paper, so I was very excited for somebody. I was like, look at the shit! It's running down the paper. I was all excited.
What temp are you running, Sub?
195 on my bottom plate, 200 on my top plate, and the mistake I was making, and I won't shut up after I say this, but I was trying to like warm it up and then press it. I was trying to finesse it. And what I learned last night was once you see it bubble, smash the shit out of it and wait till it stops bubbling. And you can correct me, but I was opening it before it quit percolating. So I was wasting shit.
Hey, guess who else is here, Sub?
Hey, bro. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, buddy.
Dude, that's too much, man. I was talking about you. You know we just released Scarlet Queen again, don't you, bad boy?
Yeah, I know that. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah. Dude, it's such a long life. I forgot it was in the book. We made it. We were down in the seed room, and I was like, didn't some friends of mine make this one time? I opened up the book, and there it is. So.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, he was just mentioning it before we went live. He's like, yeah, I saw Subs releasing some of the old stuff. I'm like, wicked, man. Yeah, people want it. Might as well get it out there.
Or go pack some bags.
Yeah, go pack some bags and press some goddamn bubble, for God's sakes.
Smash some shit. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, because I have some keef, some really nice wedding cake keef that a friend of mine gave me. It's white. And I don't really love the taste of it. That's why I still have it. And he pressed some once when he was at the house and got a good result. So my next venture into this game is going to be smashing some keef, some hash. And I mean, do we lower the temperature? Do we lower the pressure? Can we kind of talk about how that works?
You can even go a little bit warmer with hash. We're getting up to 200, 220 degrees for hash, sift and bubble hash.
Okay.
It does depend on the melt factor for sure. I mean, there's always a sweet spot in all of these things. And I like to tell everyone when they're asking me my opinion, like I'm an expert or something. And I just say, it's like whether you're making water hash or dry sift or rosin, there's a sweet spot where you're going to get the majority of your yield with all of your flavor. And you don't, when people are, extra long because they don't want to lose any. To find a sweet spot, like get most of your yields just in one shot.
Yep.
Guys, is this what we're pressing right now? A little bit of bubble hash there.
It's like really sifty, powdery.
It is very sifty. It's almost a fluffy bubble compared to that 70.
Is that a mixed bag or is that one particular flavor?
One flavor. It's Green Crack God. But if you listen to this one on the table, the other one just sounds like a bag going down, but this one's like, this one has some beefcake to it, so it's definitely like feels self-pressed, and I think it's gonna squish really nice. But I want to film that on the 4K camera, but we'll maybe film a little bit with
what temp will you squish that at, or attempt to squish it at?
Probably 200. I mean, I'm letting the Sasquatch crew do it. It's their machine. It's their sort of level of expertise. So we're following their numbers, and it's working great. There's always going to be people who say they do 160, 150, 170, 180. It all depends on what you're hitting too, and what your level and your bar is of what you're anticipating to get as an end result. And trust me, when we squish the stuff that we squish, it is so terpy. It is so tasty and very, very strong. 80% THC, easy.
There's so much finesse to it. I learned last night that even folding the collector can be an art form and can either assist your squish or fuck your squish up. The way you direct the hash, some guy was squishing, expert joint roller was mashing little pieces of old hash last night, just little pieces. And you could see where he put it on the press made a difference. If you put it too far back, it can cause a problem. If you put it too far forward. So I'm amazed by the pressing of hash, but I want to tell a quick story. I've been dying to tell to this, and I'm going to start a little bit of a shitstorm with you guys, but Frenchie came out a couple weeks ago. And I love Frenchie. I make the joke that Frenchie is one of the few men on the earth that I'll allow kiss me on the mouth. That's not a gay thing. It's just Frenchie kisses you on the mouth, and it's okay. What can I say? So Frenchie came over and brought some really nice hash. I was low on hash. The hash makers here in my area are all busy as shit, making juice or whatever the shit they make nowadays. So Frenchie came over and he brought me 3 containers, some black, really nice hash, some Master Yoda, and a little container wrapped up that he said, "This is my best goo. This is 2 years old. This is pressed." I mean, it's black, African gunji looking stuff. So you guys know I love bubble. White bubble, clear bubble, the stuff that basically Mark taught me to make 20 damn years ago that I've been making in his bags forever. So we enjoyed the time with Frenchie, and I smoked Frenchie's hash, especially the special hash. I get really fucking trashed. We can talk about the high of it later. But the point of this story, to shorten it up, is I told you I was a little low on hash, and Frenchie left my house with a bunch of containers, and I still felt like I was low on hash. And that's a personal choice for me. But I don't understand why I like the white, fresh stuff so much better than once someone takes it and rolls it around and smashes the shit out of it. I just wanted your take on this, Mark.
Well, I don't think it's a shitstorm. I think this is what it is, and I think you're going to find it an interesting take, because my take these days, I saw recently here in Vancouver, we had a big debate, and it was with Dana Larson and Dan Sutton. Dana Larson owns dispensaries. Dan Sutton owns labs. So Dana was saying dispensaries are the best. Dan was saying, lab-tested LPs are the best. And it's kind of like where I'm coming from now is that the more options we have, the better is the best. There is no best because it's a quiver. We have all of these different options. And why would we then, when I first came out, it was like I was very staunch and it had to be this and this and this. And now I'm like, hey, whatever you want to do, do your thing. I don't fight against oil. I don't fight against access, the same way dispensary LP world of Canada. Why do we debate about which one is best when clearly they both are necessary gap that needs to be filled. And so Frenchie's hash fills a gap. Your fresh, beautiful white bubble that you make fills a gap. You know, shitty, hardcore, pressed bunk, third world import swag, fucking prohibition. I don't even know how bad, another bad word to call it, but that's another person's deal. They like that. Someone's rolling a big tobacco spliff right now, and it's like, they love it. It's available. You know, I think that what you love is what you love, and you should have access to it. So for you, you know, listen, the funniest story ever was when Cuban told me he met Frenchie. This Frenchie guy, my dry sift, and yo, man, he's like finger fucking it on my hash, and I was like, oh, I didn't know when you were giving him your hash, he was gonna press that shit out.
Well, here's another one for you. So
the one thing I don't like about pressed hash versus unpressed dry sift is that it has less surface area. In other words, when you put it into the bowl to combust or vape or whatever, it has less surface area. If you put in dry sift and you're using like a flame, then you instantly are coating all of the resin heads with the flame, and it's different. And you know what I'm talking about, Mark.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about especially the way up the hash like that, you end up with more of a smolder than this blasting combustion that you can get with the full melt dry sift when it has that surface area. You blast it, and it's just like, whew.
Yeah, but
I even find the same thing with the white bubble. You know, the white bubble dust, it burns differently in a bowl than the stuff that crunches up on the side. You know, when you carry it in your pocket or something for a while. It also does the smoldering you're talking about. Of course, it melts, but it's a different feel in your mouth and on your tongue, and I guess in your lungs, if you can say that.
I agree with you, Marcus. Different smokes for different folks. Whatever people like the best is fine. But I also have my preferences, and I think you and I are pretty much in agreement on how to make resin present the finest.
Seb, I think what you're talking about is there tends to be a degradation of the product that he has. I love Frenchie. I appreciate his stuff. It is definitely old school hash, and by the way that he takes it and he processes it and squishes it the way that he does, it somehow also removes a lot of the terpenes. I mean, and so a lot of the flavonoids and et cetera are destroyed somewhere along the way. And if you had something that was 2 years old, I mean, you have, you know, on top of that, oxygenation and degradation just in the containers as much as, you know, there is.
If you store buds for 2 years in a cardboard box in a cool, dark room, after 2 years, most of the terps are gone. But the THC is still there, and most of it's still THCA also.
That's why freshly cured buds smush better. I'm sorry I cut you off. That's why, like, for me, we've been smushing buds that are dry, maybe a week, 2 weeks, in the jar, dry, but I wouldn't call them cured. I mean, definitely smokable, delicious, all that. But if I was going to call it cured, they'd have to stay in the jar a few more weeks. I'd love
to see how much CBN is in there. You know, I mean, if it were tested, because I guarantee you there's got to be a high level of that as well.
After 2 years, no.
It's different.
Wasn't.
You say after 2 years, no, Sam?
There was very little CBN, surprisingly little. And when we tested it fresh, there was none.
How about that? Well, I'm going to press some of his Master Yoda today because, again, it's not my favorite. It smolders too much, and it's a little blondie in color. So I was going to put some in a small bag and try pressing it this afternoon. So I'll take some pictures. It should be interesting to see, you know, what kind of yield I get out of this hash, because it was trichomes at one time.
I love pressing flower. Squish away Montfrere and let us know when actually transpires. I'd love to see what actually comes out.
You're pressing flower. What humidity? I've been looking at the humidity levels for pressing flowers. So, I mean, I think it plays a key factor in your rosin.
I know I pressed some black cherry soda I had. It's a strain we breed with. We don't necessarily love to smoke. It's fluffy. It's really cool. It's red, maroon, purple, and it smashes this reddy resin out. And we did some about a week ago that was fairly fresh, and the rosin had a nice color to it. And then I did some last night after leaving the jar open a week and letting it dry more, and the yield went down. I'm just learning this stuff. Yeah, the yield went down, and it's darker.
And it is darker. I find the stuff that's fresher when I come off, it's really clear. You guys see it in my pictures. And as things progress, I've been carrying for a couple months. I checked all different humidity levels because, of course, I'm pressing all my own resin. I'm taking all those resin chips that I've been saving, and I'm going to try and process that too, because there's got to be, we already know there's at least 10% left in there. So, but yeah, the humidity for me plays a big difference. I saw with the lower humidity, less yield to the between 62 to 65, I got a better yield.
That probably means the rosin you're pressing from the damper buds also has a higher moisture content.
Makes sense. Yeah,
well, I would just say that humidity plays an important part for everyone, because humidity is exactly how this process works. Without moisture, this process does not work. It's a steam distillation process where you steam the moisture out of the bud, and it carries the oil out with the pressure. So humidity is basically the most important thing when it comes to pressing rosin.
What is the benefit of whipping it? So I've just been, okay, let's back up. I'll talk real quick. So when I started, I couldn't make more than I could smoke in a few hours. And then as I got better, I could make enough to maybe last a day. And now I actually have a store of it. So I've been pressing it, putting it in oil slicks, putting it in the refrigerator. But I noticed people whip it. So I whipped some last night. What, is that just to looks? Does it do anything to it?
Yeah. I think that all of the textures are for people to have it be the texture they like, maybe to make it easier to pick up with a dabber or to dab or whatever. But when you're changing the texture of your resin, you have not changed the quality of it. You know, you can't make your resin better because you whip it, or because maybe you're whipping it and adding terps so you can fit it into a pen. Maybe you're, heating it up to a hotter temperature so you get it more tacky. And a lot of times when you go lower, you end up with this cake batter.
I disagree, Mark. If you whip it real good, it is better.
Okay.
Bum, 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 bum.
Da, 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 da.
Hey, when I whip my ice cream up, it tastes better.
There you go. Well, I did it last night, and it's the new thing is the whipping it. So it's I don't know. I can't believe. So you guys that know me for a while, like when I found Mark's bubble bags, I left the planet. Like I was in my kitchen with a fucking steel spoon and a bag of ice for 2 years. I just for real. And then hash makers came along, and I got my life back. And then I developed, and now I got a damn Sasquatch resin press in my basement. I have more rosin than I need, and I want to go home and play with the damn thing. It's like, it's fun.
Dude, it's exciting.
It's our toys.
We getting ready to do another press over there or what?
Yeah, just packing another bag.
Let's check out and show you guys this little thing. It's fucking pimp. This is one of their, I guess, latest models, would you not say? Excuse me, brother?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Latest model, but...
We're getting the freeze.
It's tall.
These guys are so...
Yeah, I was just going to definitely say, check out your humidities when you're pressing that rosin and the flower rosin. It definitely plays a key role. And like I said, I really realized that for me is when I was just being lazy and I wanted the bud that was sitting in the room because it wasn't cured yet. And I'm like looking at my humidity, I'm at 72%. And I grabbed some buds, went inside and squished it, and I was like, nah.
Oh, yeah, right, I know. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And then no more contaminants in there. I'm not pulling out all the little pieces. Like when it's drier, when we squish it, you get all the contaminants, what we used to do in the beginning. So we're definitely advancing.
Matt's going to tell a little story.
Here's my muscle story. So not that I have any. So I got the whole kit. Okay, I got the compressor, the foot pedal, and I got a jack. So we've been using the jack to learn because of finessing. Turned the compressor on once, used it, and I was like, all right, well that's fucking crazy. That thing goes 10,000 pounds as soon as you touch it. So I didn't understand why you would really need that until the other day. I spent about 3 hours in the basement with the car jack pressing. Of course, that night I was like, "What is wrong with my shoulders?" Well, you press a car jack for about 2.5 hours, it'll wear you out. So obviously, long term, you know, pressing bag after bag after bag, you get your numbers down. You know your heat and your pressure. Well, then you can use that foot pedal and that compressor to dial it in. And I do think you can finesse with it once you know your numbers.
It's the whole thing, trial and error. That's why we got the Sasquatch guys here.
I love it.
That's why we're pressing it up today. That's for sure. We pressed it up yesterday. We're going to press it up today. And yeah, hopefully all my Sasquatches, the V1, the V2, and the M1 are going to be going into full rosin production. You know, why not? Just let's get some rosin made.
Sounds like people have some pressing issues.
Sounds like I'm coming over to visit you tomorrow.
There's pressing issues for certain.
That's the best.
I wonder where the rest of the crew is today. Tony said he was going to come in and drop some knowledge today. I think Natasha said she was going to be in around 9:30. I think she said she was going to also be inviting Selena. Selena was willing to come in and have a visit. And in the meantime, I think I need a bong rip. Where's D420K, I wonder? Did he not get the link or something?
Bong rip in his absence.
So I've done this little Medi Kush first bounce, and I took a little bit of CBD. Crystal has been put it to a powder on top of this for a morning little bong rip.
All right, well, I guess we'll wait for... Oh, there is no pipe here. Oh, shit! This is service. I don't even
Nothing
have
worse
a
than
dab.
being at the head shop and not having a bong.
I got the Abbotsford Air Show happening out here in Abbotsford, this beautiful town of mine today. So in about 20 minutes, we're going to start hearing fighter jets flying over me and stuff like that. So I might have to sign off. It's going to get really loud out here.
All right, well, we'll take that into account. Thank you, sir. What do you got going on here? Strawberry Nana? Strawberry Nana. Love that shit. You know what's a good cultivar when it tastes so good and you didn't hit it. You're like, you hit it 3 rips ago and you're hitting different shit through your pipe and you're like, oh, it tasted like the strawberry banana. It's like, no, dude, that was the such and such. Terps in the pipe. There. Hang a place to hang the banger. Just hang it. Where you heading, Sub?
I'm going up to the garden. I'll probably lose signal a little while. You see my 14-foot monsters? Look. Last night we figured out I don't have enough room to cure and dry. Plants bigger.
Right when he said he was going to lose.
I think we're starting to lose you, son.
Yeah.
You're getting choppy on us, buddy.
He's getting out of phone reception.
Concentrates.
Next to me on.
All right. Everyone's tripping out because I didn't bring a hat. I woke up at 6 in the morning and split to catch a ferry to get over here, and I didn't have a hat. So this is what I look like without a hat.
Or headphones.
So I have a question for you guys over there at High Integrity Glass. Do you prefer just your standard bangers? Or do you do like the new thermal bangers? Point.
I don't know if Mothership has got a thermal banger yet, do they?
No, they don't. I've seen, I think Puke and Beagle's got one, and others are making them now, which are double-walled. I haven't tried one yet, but I've heard people say that those tend to have a little more flavor than the standard Quave.
I just tried one the other day at Cannabis Culture, and I was pretty tripped out about it at first, and there's heat in the bottom of it.
Can Ro answer?
I just picked mine up, and I haven't got to try it yet, but they look like they work amazing. They're hard to get. Really.
Where's yours from? Whose is it made by, Ro?
Puke and Beagle.
I just ordered one from Harmony, Whitney Harmony, the one with the colored glass in the bottom of it there. That lets me know when
they seem to be definitely hard to come by because it seems a lot of the hardcore heads are definitely snatching them up because of I heard that it's exceptional flavor. But
was gonna say the flavor was amazing when I hit it. It was pretty cool.
That's delicious. Delicious on that strawberry banana. You ever get any of that strawberry banana in Amsterdam, Sam?
I haven't seen it, but it's probably here. It's probably so good that nobody showed it to me.
Just crazy to think that that cultivar isn't in Amsterdam, where DNA was housed for the last 12 years, 13 years now. Is that how long they've been in Amsterdam for? 13 years? 2004, I think?
Something like that. I'm not sure of the first year.
Yeah, I think it was 2004 they showed up with the white lab coats. I saw them at the Melkweg. I was like, who are these guys? They had the melty hash, the mean Martian, green Martian or whatever. I'm going to get along with these guys just fine.
What I always liked was everybody thought it was DNA seeds, but it was Don and Aaron seeds.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Yeah, very cool. Those guys killing it out there. Amsterdam started getting weird. Yeah, well, Amsterdam's kind of a trippy place.
For smoking, it's fine. If you want to be involved in commerce, it's a fine line to walk in. You can't supply wholesale. You can't grow. So it's, yeah, you can have a coffee shop, but there's only however many of those there are in the country, and they're constantly trying to thin them down.
Right. Yeah, of course. Very much. Greetings from the Netherlands, Hugo. Nice to see you in the chat there. And I did not hear back from Toro. I've got a call from Wendy, and then I called her back and left messages, never heard back from her. But Toro also has a really cool reactor core banger that they've got. I guess it's got a little chunk of quartz right in the middle. Works a little bit different from the thermal, but keeping that little chunk of quartz warmer and holding and retaining heat. Especially when you put a big dab down on the quartz, you're obviously cooling the temperature. So what is the best temperature to drop the dab depending on the size of the dab and the surface area of the quartz? I think that ratio is a very important ratio when you're looking for that sweet, sweet, perfect hit every time. Well, yeah, I don't know. Nobody really showed up today. The panel, I think, at this point is like 10, 10:30. We're good to go. I think what we should start doing is when we have like slow hash churches, just stop at 10 o'clock. And then I'll get all these messages from like Tony and people being like, what happened? Where's hash church? I'm like, oh, we're already done, dude.
Tell them it was our best ever. It was
really the best ever. It was so good.
There were fireworks.
Patented it twice.
There were fireworks and everything. We had strippers, and it was crazy.
Fireworks.
On the hill having
and played live.
The restaurant emptied out as we were sitting there eating, and it got later and later. And then we looked to the city. The restaurant's completely empty. We looked to Vancouver, and all of a sudden these beautiful fireworks start going off like it's for us. Like big, huge explosions. And we're like, I thought my wife's like, the fireworks are over. Because we have the world, all these different countries represented in Vancouver. They have a barge, and millions of dollars of fireworks got set off every third night or something for a week or 2 weeks. They have a big competition. Team Japan won this year, for instance, but this wasn't that. And so we asked one of the waiters, and he was just like, it could be one of the 4 huge movies. Johnny Depp's filming a movie. Ryan Reynolds is filming Deadpool 2. The Rock is filming some movie about skyscrapers. And so I guess it was one of the movies setting off all these fireworks. But what a fucking sweet bonus at the end of our Salmon House on the Hill meal last night to have like 200 grand worth of fireworks go off. It's wicked. 500 viewer rip. All right, I'll do a 500 viewer rip. Bingo bong. Bong rip for 500.
Salmon House on the Hill, is that where we went, Nate?
Yes, we definitely went to the Salmon House on the Hill, dude.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, it is really, really good food. Holy smokes. We had what did we have? We had the Arctic sablefish. Is that what it was? What was this? Sablefish and oh, it was so delicious, so good. How was Concentrated X Products? His stuff looks so fire. Concentrated X Products are so fire. We've got some strawberry banana here. We've got some cookies and cream. We got a little of the chocolate. Actually, I have them all right here. Oh no, I don't.
Actually, yeah, I ran away because I just brought up my sift that I was in the fridge. I set it down on the thing here. A half an hour later, I went to do another two. It was just like turning into goo, so I ran to put it back in the fridge. Jesus.
All right, well, get her back. Get her in there. This is all out of the fridge, but that's okay because it's rosin and it's ote. Strawberry banana. So delicious. We should have a Skunkman Sam movie. All right, let's do it.
Sam, do you have a movie rights yet? Because I kind of want
to watch the movie instead. I will go watch the movie in the theaters.
Yeah,
instead.
that's your style for sure. Just be like, I don't want to be in the movie. I'll just go watch it.
But we need a good actor like Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think he puffs. I think he's good to go. Just a couple of key events in your life to do in a movie. I think that your movie would be pretty legit. Yeah, stop animation with the Dr. Seuss doll. That'll be his movie. It'll just be that Dr. Seuss doll.
But what will it be named? By a skunk? By any other name? Smell as?
No, if there's smoke, there's fire.
Oh, touché, mon frère.
I would have named it. I patented that.
I did patent if there's smoke, there's fire.
Right on.
This should be 220.
Right.
And the smaller amount produced more.
Did you weigh it?
No. Well, yeah, this was like this was like a gram, and this was probably like 3 grams.
Weird.
So yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Want to melt at 200.
Oh, Hustle King. Sorry, sub split before I got to say hi for you. I did have it on the back of my mind. I wasn't forgetting it, but apologies for that. Did you just take a hot dab?
Yeah.
Did you just take a Johnny B?
I just did a hot dab.
Oh, I might have to hit the terp sugars here. I got the terp sugars here today.
You hit this?
Oh, you eat it, bro.
That stuff's so good. Just put it in water. Just stir it into some water. It's good.
Yes, I have definitely stirred it into water, but I also that's how I showed you when you first did it. I put a little of water, and then I
stir it in the water.
I added a little bit of the terp syrups, but it's also nice to just take a little mouthful of Jack Frost. Are you kidding me? It's wicked, dude.
So I got to try this Jack Frost actually in Jamaica. That terp stuff, that was amazing.
I got to try it at Tony's lab. It's a very strange sensation to have something granular dissipate, but yet have the full flavor of cannabis. It's a very strange sensation.
Yeah. And no cannabinoids there or nothing. Right. It's just like amazing. You're like, what the hell?
I kind of expect it to pop rock, though. You know what I'm saying? Those should be made into pop rock.
I was waiting for the pop rock. You hit it right on the head when I ate it. I was like, where's the pop?
No, that's what they're called. They're called pot rocks. And they're a chunky version.
Dude, they're awesome. They're tasty. Did you have some?
Explosions of terps in your mouth.
It's just so nice.
Drinking tea.
Never got a link from Tony. Oh, Minnesota Dabs. No, he's gonna hook up with you, bro. He was talking to me about you, dude. We're definitely talking about you, bro. With your purple and blue resin heads. I know what's up. I know what's going on. We've linked with 2 people recently in your the Pharmacy Bros. I'm going to link up with those guys. They seem like they know what they're doing. We're excited so far. We never like to jump the gun. We always like to do the testing first. But once the pesticide testing is free and clear, that's when we can really develop a relationship. We're kind of like, it's like we have a prenup. It's a pesticide test. If you don't sign the prenup, we can't get into a relationship together. Ah, shit. Xylitol toothpaste. Did that pen come out yet? That pen is coming out very soon, bro. Very, very soon. Still can't believe what a small little group we have in here. I feel like I have forgotten to send the link to a bunch of people or something, but no, I think that's it. I think they got the link and they'll have to come in when they want to come in. Are you guys pressing over there?
Yeah, it's not the greatest quality, but...
Well, because we're pressing the lowest quality because we're saving the highest quality.
Yeah.
Now, which is this? The mix? Did you end up mixing them, bro?
No.
No, it's...
Try the 45. It's always oilier.
And which strain are they squishing?
It is the green crack. God. But really, it's like the stuff they want to squish, the stuff that's going to return and be beautiful and be exciting. I kind of was like, please don't squish that right away because I want to film it and I still want to run and operate Hash Church. But I think it'll be better for us to film with the 4K camera and do a nice little video. 140, so I guarantee grams of oil in that bag of hash. I wanted to have solventless mind on. I just I didn't connect with them, and I think Natasha and Selena are coming on. I believe I haven't really talked to Natasha, but I think she said she was coming on at 9:30 or so. So I think we'll see her in the next little bit, but we'll have to see. Sometimes things happen. .com. So is Minnesota Dabs going to be in? My God, his IG is awesome. Whose IG is awesome? I want to go check out an awesome IG.
I want to look at an awesome IG too.
Mark Scallon, where have you been, my friend, Dr. Mark? Have you been fishing?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I was in a fishing hole for a couple of weeks. Sorry.
Really? Fish in a barrel.
Just surfacing fish.
Did you have a baker's dozen?
Yeah, I'm wearing my baker's dozen shirt. I see.
That's
so
awesome.
It was a lot. It was a lot of fun. They did 13 nights with no repeats, and at the end, they had a banner hoisted up to the ceiling of Madison Square Garden, memorializing this 13 nights.
I saw one of the friends of family or whatever took a picture of the band on the stage. You know, the classic Cypress Hill does it all the time. They stand in front of the audience. You know, a lot of bands do it, but Fish.
Yeah, that's Dan Clinch who does that. He's noted for that. That photograph with the band with the audience in the background, right?
This wasn't taken by him. It was actually taken by a chick who's a friend of the band. And it's an awesome picture because she took it in a way, and when I saw it, I thought, this is so Fish. She took it in a way so you couldn't really see the audience. It was just Fish standing on the stage, and you could kind of see a bit in the background, but generally it'll be taken by a professional photographer who will go up on a fucking ladder, shoot down in a way that gets the band, but with the whole audience because you want to show off and flex how powerful you are. And I'm thinking, what an amazing picture. Madison Square fucking Garden, and you can't even see the audience. It's just Fish standing there with their little hey, what's up?
Yeah,
I love them, dude.
Yeah. It was great. They each night was a different donut. So there was like a different theme to every night. And so
I saw the Boston cream.
Yeah, and everyone thought that, for the lemon poppy donut, they'd play Led Zeppelin's Lemon Song. It's the obvious, squeeze my lemon till the juice runs down your leg. And they didn't. They played some obscure Radiohead song that I guess mentions lemon in it, but they also written by Blind Lemon Jefferson, so an old blues song. So yeah, it was really creative how they used each night's flavor of donut to sort of dig into a repertoire and play something new. It was really cool.
Very cool. What's going on, Tony? You like sub cool? You're in your car, you're cruising, you're driving, you're hustling?
Oh, I'm not driving, my man. I've got count of concentrates driving.
Oh, he just said something to me in the room. He was like, dude, did you see my question or something? I did not see your question.
Yeah, no, I sent the link to. I just sent a link to Minnesota Dabs. We are. I was heading to. Was actually heading to the Barbary Coast Lounge to do a little broadcast. Pretty cool vibe. They have a dispensary, then attached to it is a giant like dab bar, and then there's with like 10 different rigs, and they have like a solventless rig only, and then they have a whole nother room for like tables with plugs in the middle of them, so you can just kind of show up and puff or bring your own stuff. So I thought it was a cool place to go hang out. So sorry about being a little late. I heard all the comments though about starting later.
I was joking around.
I know. It's only.
But then you and Mark showed up. I was like, damn, it's a quiet church. Honestly, I got 12 minutes into church today and I had to close it up. This is church 2 right now we're on.
Mark's like, if no one's here at 9:15, it's over like school. Like if the teacher doesn't show up at 9:15, everyone's dismissed.
I just split. I tell the whole class, just go, all of you.
Well,
Where are the Trinity?
I'm trying to get this guy on because it'll be an interesting topic for sure. Because he is the guy that has been cultivating. He's the only guy that cultivates and also washes his own resin, and it comes out like a plum blue.
Nice.
And at first you think, okay, maybe the resin has like anthocyan that's kind of staining the resin, but potentially it's that's why I wanted to kind of have him come in, because it'd be interesting to hear Mark's theory and Skunkman's theory, because the only thing blue that I know is azulene, which is a blue colored terpene. I know we had this conversation before where terpenes in the way they express color, but there's definitely a blue terpene out there.
Has he analyzed it, Tony?
We'll find out. I sent him a link. He's probably trying to. I sent it to him on. Go straight left. Yeah, go straight there. He's probably trying.
Left.
Oh yeah, we're almost like going the wrong direction. If you do that in California, you're done for like hours.
Dude, I talk to you all the time on the phone, and you're like, oh shit. I just
take it right here.
Oh Jesus.
Stay to the right. Now
2 miles later.
But he's probably trying to figure out the. He's probably trying to figure out the link, because the first time you get that link, you're like, what is this? And it's a Hangout. Then you got to download the Hangout.
He says he's trying to get in now. He's in the YouTube chat, Minnesota Dabs. He says, I'm trying to get in now.
All right, cool. Well, have you gotten one of these yet?
No, I'm still waiting. They went to deliver them, and it was to the P.O. box, so I have to get it on Monday. That's why we're here pressing rosin, dude. We're going to make the
get
oil.
it ready. But
yeah, exactly.
This is the one thing I would say when you get it, though, because I know there's a lot of people like interested in it. It's locked to the back into the website, so when they release, this is not like a normal tank where the thing prolong the longevity and allow you to keep reusing the tank. But you know, I actually spent the last week or 2 weeks just you know, playing like the average public would, where I loaded the tank and then load the tank again and try to load it again for the 3rd time without cleaning it. Then I've done it cleaning it, you know, dropping it in ISO and then drop it in water. And then I've done it like short, and then I've done it long. I boiled, like semi-boiled it. I try to do all kinds of things just to mess around with it to see like the best use of it. But ultimately, I'm going to get a T-shirt that says "Pull, Press, and Pull."
There it is. Pull, press, and pull.
Pull, press, and pull. Because, and it's hard to do that. It's really hard to do that. And it's not like you get reprimanded too bad, because you can still continue forward. But what I mean by that is this is a different kind of is when you're making different kind of rosin sauces, and if you look like in here, there's a hole all the way through it. I'm not sure if you could see it because I'm in the car. Let's see if I can get this.
Oh yeah.
See the hole?
You got it.
Yep. So this is a little different than other tanks, and there's four holes in here that bring in the oil to the element. The element's kind of like got a lot of little. It's like a pumice stone almost, if you will, and that kind of concept that's in here. And so you have to pull, then press, then pull, and when you pull that, you get zero on the battery, 0 discharge out of the card. But even if you don't remember to do that because you hit it hard, like Preston and I yesterday, you just take a little Q-tip to the end of the battery and you move on. So it's not a big deal, but there's little things like this that have to be explored. So when people get them, they understand how to use them, because everybody, they hit the button first that I've given it to and wait as if they're like trying to warm up the oil and then hit it, which would be normal for a coil type of pen, or it would be normal for other kinds of like pens that you might have got for Omicron, where you're like, oh, I need to warm up the oil first. Right. That's not how this works. The oil is always in the element, and you pull, then you press.
Get it into that little chamber.
So let me show you. You can pull, press, and you get 12 seconds. I haven't seen anyone go 3 times, but I'll try it for you.
Yeah, because the original Omicron, that you had to hit it, you kind of heat it up for a second so that the mechanism heated up. So I look forward to trying one, Tony, so that get used to the new type of mechanism. Wow, there you go.
And I did pull.
What flavor are you hitting, Tony?
That's why everyone forgets to pull, because after you're hit, you're like, oh, it's so good, and then you forget to pull. But just pull some cool air through it, because it'll bring the oil back into the element. I've got one for you, Etienne. I've got your. I probably could come.
What flavor are you hitting currently?
This is the Lemon Remedy 3-to-1 CBD. This is an Afghan blueberry that happens to be. This is the one that we won with the Emerald Cup with.
How long has that lasted you so far? How many hits are you getting out of a cartridge filling?
I don't know, but the battery lasted the whole tank, so I'm not having to recharge this battery.
That's impressive.
That was part of the design.
And I would say that, I mean, how many hits? That's a good question.
Does it have a 5 press on and off so that the button doesn't trigger?
No. So it has an auto. So we built these with auto shut off. So after 2 minutes, it automatically shuts off. So if you put it in your pocket, it won't go off. 5 times to turn it on. And then, so many people have wanted to, does it have temperature control? It's like, and I kind of like Preston got his yesterday. And it's just a different setup. It's like a 14-watt sub-ohm battery that works on a 510 thread, but the battery is powerful enough that you could do that. Like, you don't really need to do that. You just go, let's see, here, you just go like this. But you still get a great low temp dab. But if you wanted to rip it, you could rip this 3 times.
Taking dabs while on the go.
Medicine on the go.
Well, I've been waiting for something like this. Carrying a torch and a banger and a glass with me everywhere. I don't mind doing it. I got really small and I have micro rigs, but I'd rather have something that's more on the go, that was more properly done. So I'm glad you guys have taken it to a level that, because most of the pens that I know are cheap and they're improving. Over the design, and the current design is better, but I'm still not a fan of them. So this one I could see becoming a fan of.
Yeah, what they do.
It's almost like. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I was gonna say what everybody else is doing. They're just slapping their name on certain parts. And I mean, when Gary came on Hash Church before, Bubble Man and I sat around many times. I was making this like very rich terpene oil with rosin, and basically didn't have a place for it because we couldn't put it in we put it in a vial, and then you saw it. We had those little droppers before, and that doesn't really make best use of a high grade oil like that. You know, it's something that's like, it's just, you don't get every last drop out. And so, you know, we kind of sat around like, man, it'd be nice to have, and this won't be the first one. I mean, just, you know, obviously we've got other, hold on a second. I think you,
Turn it back on?
yeah. Let's see what happened here. Yep. Speakerphone. You could turn it off. No, you're good. You still there?
Oh yeah, we're here. We're listening.
Okay.
We're attentive. These guys are pressing over here. I'm looking for another bong rip soon. Might have to request. D420K, where are you, buddy?
Yeah,
Where are you?
Shit's just drippy. Anyway, you see how like viscous this oil is? So there was like really no, there's like really no other thing to put this in. But we sat around. I remember Marcus was like, "Oh yeah, I wish I could have a mobile dab, something that like low maintenance and didn't have to clean it, but it delivered the taste." What do you think about them?
They work great, and even with
what's going on, Preston?
it's a little
Look, we just put straight rosin in it.
Hey, Preston.
How's it going, everybody? Yeah, it works
Going
great.
pretty good, man.
Amazing.
What'd you think of the taste? Among other things, is the main thing.
Yeah, it's the flavor comes through unreal, just like a low temp dab. Even when you try to blast it for 2 or 3 pulls.
I can't believe I don't have them.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to like show it off too much. Don't have it yet.
Chalice Chugger, that's funny.
But I mean, so that's the main thing. If you go really light with it, or if you just go 3 pulls on it, I mean, you could get a tearjerker, but the taste isn't going to change all the way through the tank. And I would say I mean, look at the grip on that.
Did you say tearjerker?
It can be. You can easily overdo it.
Yeah, you could actually go.
Yeah, it tastes great. This is just like.
Call it the press ton. Sean 8033. That was his joke. I'm not gonna.
So check it out. I'm rolling into my facility real quick to get a couple Baller Bubble Man jars to lay out at this Barberry. So I'm gonna come right back in like less than 10 minutes. We'll be back. Look at that cloud. That's what I'm talking about. So, and Gary talked about like the parts. I mean, we went 8 months on this thing, and you know, I gotta just like shout out Gary, because it's like
totally
a lot of people like don't go like deep into what goes behind a pen. And I always loved the Omnicron and the
Samurai Sam's in the room. You mentioned earlier when Gary was on Hash Church, he's like, what episode did Gary appear on? I would love to watch it. It was Samurai Sam on the episode, not Gary. He's who turned us on to Gary. He was the guy that came.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, don't be sorry. I just saw Sam is in the room, and he's like, hey, what episode did Gary appear on? I'm like, that's right.
Yes.
We haven't had Gary on. We'll have Gary on one day.
Yeah, he exposed like what was behind in pens, and then you had mentioned, I wish we could get a tank that was reusable, that we was more like eco-friendly, but mainly delivered the same low temp dabs for rosin. I mean, just a solventless pen, a real one that we can count on. And then you're like, if you could make that, I'll put my name on it. And I was like, okay, well. And then we got in touch with Gary, and then I was like, well, I think we did. And it's kind of funny, your name's on it before you ever got to try it. But hopefully you trust me, and you'll be super satisfied when you get it. That's for sure. I mean, these things are only going to retail for $6.
Well,
I mean, they're retailing for $64, like $62 or $64 retail. So it's not even, and the tanks are like, I think 14. So I mean, it's not like an outlandish amount. You know what I mean? It's like I think it's a fucking great value, personally. I finally get to. I haven't really hit my rig that much, to be honest with you. Like I was telling you, like it's so convenient that it's like you're watching TV and you're like, well, I could lean over and take a dab, or I can just, you know. But I'm gonna jump off real quick and then come back. But hopefully Minnesota Dabs comes in because I want him to explain this resin, and I think he's got some macros he could probably screen share that he was talking about. But I wonder if it's azulene or some other kind of like terpene, because remember, if it's in the resin head, I've never seen resin, the actual heads, we're talking about the heads, actually have a blue color like this. So it was very unusual to see. And if you don't know Minnesota Dabs, go to his Instagram and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's like Smurf resin.
Well, I've seen some pretty wild colors over the years. It depends also if you shoot it with a flash or without a flash. Sometimes it can look pretty wild, but yeah, he's got some unique color there for sure. It could be, I don't know what the name of the terpene is, so I don't want to say it, but I for sure know that Jim Frere has as a fraction.
Azulene.
It is azulene? That's the one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You'll see that in fractionations, like people that do subcritical CO2 or they do distillation or fractional anything. Like you could pull off azulene in that. I've seen blue terpenes that way, but never in the resin head, because there's chemical reactions that Mark Scaldone could probably talk about. But I just really like to see him come on because I think it'll be a good start of a question that love to see what people think, like how the colors are. He's got an explanation.
We would need to run an NMR, and also LCMS would be useful because these LCMS systems draw against a library of standards, and there's literally thousands of compounds that are known, and things like azulene are known. So yeah, that's an easy thing to solve if he's got a sample, about 30 milligrams of it. I guess what's really cool, we talked about, remember Intra's green terpene as being sort of like a diluted down.
Well, did you ever test it? Because that was like, you guys talked about it. You said you were going to test it. I kind of knew no test would ever happen. But at the same time, I didn't want to say it when it was happening.
Yeah, the test results I saw did not look very. I don't know. I don't know what the stuff that he had brought to the cup, which I saw the test results of, did not show any azulene or not show any. I don't know. I never saw any results from the green terpene, from his so-called green terpene fraction. But his clear terpene fraction, I did see the results of. And there's nothing remarkable there.
Just like terpene.
Nothing remarkable. Yeah, it was just terpenes, just like you would see in a, terpene profile. I think he said it was a mixture or something like that. But I think I seem to remember it had Trainwreck in there. And, we know Trainwreck is a myrcene. It's got a lot of myrcene in there. But I think it also had caryophyllene and looked like it had oxidized a little bit because there was caryophyllene oxide in there too.
Mark,
as well.
Have you actually seen Indra's machine yet?
Well, I've seen pictures of. Oh, sorry, Mark Scaldone. Go ahead.
Was he talking to you or me?
You.
Me. From what I understand, there's one that's being shipped right now. Number one.
I can't wait to hear the results.
000, yeah, machine 0001 is being shipped from its factory to where it's going to be set up in Oakland. So we'll see. It should be set up in a couple of weeks here.
Cool beans.
Yeah, so we'll see how one of those extractors works in a commercial cannabis setting and be able to hopefully report back on some data. Maybe we'll get Danny from Corova to come on in the future and share with us some data and some key learnings on using Indra's extractor.
Very cool. Well, it'll be interesting to hear about that for sure. In the meantime,
Yeah.
you guys are extracting as I'm hash churching.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm telling you, for those of you that want a great cultivar for pressing rosin with or making hash with, check out Karma Genetics, Where Is My Bike, which I'm definitely guessing is a play on the amnesia haze potency of it and the getting lost in Amsterdam and not being able to find where you parked your bike, which is also, if you've ever been to Amsterdam and you ever rented a bike, some of us even rented cars and lost those, but it does happen. The cultivar is a solid 28 to 30% yielder, and more importantly than that, it has this beautiful terpenoline, like haze-like rip to it that is so lemony at first. It comes out as just straight lemons and then turns into this hazy, really, really beautiful taste. So I got to give a shout out to Karma for that. Karma Genetics, great job, dude. That was impressive. To see bud squish like it was hash was kind of surprising. Put a smile on my face, I'll tell you. The first acid trip was on a bike ride. Yes, Andy Bravo, you're right. Yes, it is. It was the magical world that Albert Hoffman entered. If you ever look at the interview, he's like, I
on April 19th, right?
I entered a sort of dream world. It's like, yeah, bro, you took like a fucking heroic dose. You're gonna be tripping balls.
Yeah. That's why you don't take your acid at work and then bike home.
Right? It's like I entered the Madison Square Gardens and the fish were on the stage.
Yeah, that was me a couple weeks.
You were doing chemistry. You were doing chemistry.
Yeah, I tried 2CB for the first time. That was interesting.
Oh, what'd you think of that? I love that.
It's pretty interesting. It was pretty visual, and yeah, it was interesting
right?
and different.
It's very visual.
Get
You
the
never
dose
saw the
wrong.
rainbows.
Yeah, it's very visual. You take a small amount, and if you take too much, I'll tell you, the visuals. Like I saw my buddy, he took some 2CB at my house and basically for like 3 hours was sitting on my front lawn, the mountain on the back wall. And later when I asked him what he was doing, he said, bro, he sounds, and then it's like my forehead opened up and this fucking projector came out of my skull. And I basically was like projecting a movie, but I couldn't see it. So I found the spot here and I looked at the mountain across the way and I watched this incredible, like he was in it. He was in the experience that he was watching on the fucking mountain projecting out of his forehead. So yeah, 2CB is no joke. That's the real deal.
Sounds like you needed to take a little bit more because if he was still there, then he wasn't high enough.
I had a gram of it and you're only supposed to take a very small amount of it. And when I got back, it was all gone.
Yeah, you do take a little bit, and I recommend doing it in a quiet place with your lover. That's what I had, and I have to say it's an amazing experience. I wouldn't do it at a concert. I'd prefer it one-on-one.
So, Chris Kuroda, the lighting director for Fish, has got an incredible mechanized lighting rig that moves, and the whole lighting rig moves up and down, and first of all, the lights are incredible, and there's like laser beams and lights. Actually, there's lights installed in Madison Square Garden that are only used for the New York Rangers and the New York Knicks. And Chris was the lighting director who actually had those installed. So for all other musical acts that come to Madison Square Garden, only Fish gets to use these lights, and there are lights all throughout the arena. So the whole arena is a light show. And the rig moving up and down on stage, it was just, yeah, it was pretty incredible in terms of a psychedelic. There's a lot of sensory overload, and that's, I guess, where you want to be when you're doing that, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's nice. It definitely takes you on a journey. There's no doubt about it. Some of the journeys that I have been taken on by Chris Kuroda and Fish and sound man there. What's his name? Paul. Is it Paul Langwood?
Yeah, Paul Langwood is no longer a sound guy. It's
Back when I was still seeing the band, it was those were the guys, and between those guys, the 4, the 1, and the 1, it was just like holy shit.
Yeah, Mark, you should go see him now if you get a chance. I mean, I don't know if they're coming to
Can't go to
Canada.
America. They don't come to Canada too much. It's like Trey's got charges down there. I've got charges up here.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that doses and goes to metal shows or hardcore shows? I remember dosing and going to Gangrene and Social Distortion, right? Y'all go to these jam bands. I'm like, fuck it. I leave it loud.
It depends on what you're
Dave on Slay. He calls it Slaycation. He's been on a Slayer tour across the country.
I've been watching his Slayer tour. It's hilarious, bro.
Yeah, he calls it Slaycation. So shout out to
14 of Slaycation, driving Ferraris in Colorado.
Meanwhile, his hemp plants are roaring back in Colorado, so I'm sure they're doing well.
Ooh, Sean 8033 said he took acid and went and saw Guar. I hope he didn't stand in the first 5 rows. Don't want to get any of that fish semen on you.
Oh, what was it?
Yeah,
Gabby Hayes and showed up. What was the name of that band? From Texas. And yeah, they actually had a squirt bottle and squirted people with acid in the water of the actual thing from the stage, which I don't recommend. Yeah, you shouldn't dose people without their knowing. That's a bad thing.
It definitely is. That was like one of the 2 commandments. Didn't Tim Leary come up with that? Never dose someone without their knowledge, and never try to keep someone from dosing if they want to. Those were the 2 psychedelic commandments that he came up with. But then he also came up with the worst idea ever, which was to record his voice while he was reciting the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and then to tell people it's a good idea to take acid and then listen to me reciting the Book of the Dead, which was probably
worst thing.
Go ahead.
I thought the worst thing he did was he told everybody to tune in, turn on, and drop out. What he should have preached was tune in, turn on, and take over.
And what were they going to take over?
And then drop out.
Everything. Especially the bankers, the lawyers, and the accountants.
And
yeah, they needed dosing more than anything.
Alleys and the hot dog stands too, as well.
Doc, you're a nut.
Yeah, just trying to inject a little bit of humor every now and then.
One thing I can't stand is humor.
Because you don't have the patent on it.
Touche.
Not yet, right?
Now that I have the idea, though.
Yeah. Ideas are cheap. Follow through is expensive.
Doc, when was the first time you got turned on to psychedelics?
Oh, it was remember we used to have drive-ins? Remember the places where we drive a car full of teenagers?
Drive-in theater, you mean?
Cooler full of beers and oh, we went and saw the Pink Floyd movie followed by the Grateful Dead movie at midnight. And so it's like 2 psychedelic rock movies back to back. And we had lawn chairs, and I don't know if we had a keg of beer. Certainly we had a big box of Budweiser, probably cases of beer, and just drank like fish. And yeah, I mean, I remember late night, when most drugs have worn off and you're still high on acid and you're just realizing that this is unlike anything you've ever done before, that this is a portal that you've gone through now that is kind of interesting. And so I think this was maybe like 1976, I want to say, like when the Dead movie came out, maybe 77.
So was it liquid? Was it a sugar cube? Was it paper?
Yeah, no, it was a piece of paper, a blotter, and it had the imprint was Mr. Clean. It looked like you, Etienne. And the bald guy with the earring holding the orb that was shiny, you know, it's like, hey, if you have to do acid, Mr. Clean is probably a good brand, right? Don't you think?
Yeah. Mine was Little Woodstocks from Snoopy and Woodstock. They had Little Woodstocks.
I remember Woodstock.
Yeah, that was mine.
Thereafter, like the first time we acquired some and we had some in mass, it was Steve Miller Book of Dreams. It was the horse. Remember the horse on the front of the cover of Steve Miller?
Yeah,
so it was the album cover acid. And yeah, I mean, and then since then on Dead Tour saw just about everything you could possibly imagine in terms of just blotter design, which is really just such a fucking cool happenstance art. You know,
I have a poster of.
You have some blotter designs.
Yeah, it's called the Cure of Souls from the first exhibition of acid art. Which actually has the acid that you're talking about, the Steve Miller band, and it had the old Journey covers, et cetera, the Japanese symbols, et cetera. Sam, what was the first acid you ever did?
Sweet Purple Odyssey in 1965. It was legal.
Wow.
When was your first bong rip, son?
The same year. It was not legal, but I didn't smoke a bong until probably 4 or 5 years later. I first thing I smoked was a joint that I bummed. Well, I didn't bum. I actually bought 3 joints.
Was it 3 joints?
25 cents each from a Russian girl at Hollywood High School, where I went, and I didn't really know how to smoke them or anything, so I took them home and I lit it, and I took a breath, inhaled it, blew it out, and immediately inhaled another hit and smoked the whole joint like that. Lit the second one, lit the third one. I got totally fried.
That was the day your life changed, and now.
I mean, I was walking down the street and it was like living color. It was just, yeah, no. So a lot of people I know that they first smoked, they didn't have any effect. Well, I had all the effects that they didn't have.
So what? So the first one you did was that. What was the? Have you ever done blotter acid, paper acid?
Yes.
Do you remember the first one you did?
It was rice paper. There was no design stamped onto it. It was rice paper that the entire piece of paper had been soaked, and then they tore it up into little sheets or cut it up with the paper cutters or whatever.
Well, Bubble Man, I know you're doing a bong rip, but the question's coming your way now. What was the first LSD that you did? How old were you, and was it what was it? Was it paper, barrel, liquid, gel?
All right, excuse me. Oh, welcome Minnesota Dabs, who just came into the room. He's been trying to get in for, I'd say, about a half an hour. My first psychedelic experience was actually not LSD. It was psilocybin mushrooms. And we got turned on at a very young age to Terrence McKenna back in the early 90s, late 80s. And it was these talks that he would do at the Esalen Institute in California, all about psychedelic mushrooms and these little, the DMT elves and self-reflecting machine elves and all this crazy shit. We were reading about it, listening about it. We were like, we got to get this going on. So, one of our first trips was really like a therapeutic dose, let's just say, like 4 to 5 dried grams in the semi-dark kind of room where you have shadow.
That's a heroic dose.
Yeah, it's like a heroic dose or whatever they call it. We always like to call it therapeutic because when you do a dose that you're blowing your ego right out the door, it's heroic before you do it while you have your ego. But once your ego is gone, it really just becomes therapeutic because there is no heroism when you have no ego. It's just fucking gone.
Was that the Esalen Institute in Big Sur?
Absolutely, it was.
Yeah, no, real beautiful sight.
Oh my God! Right? Can you hear us, Minnesota? Uh-oh, we can't hear you. Sometimes there's a few little things that can go wrong with the sound. Sometimes you might have to redo your whole, because I'm not showing you muted. You're not coming in as someone who's muted.
It might be in his settings right up top there on the settings. There is a little gear. So click on the settings and make sure that your mic is tuned into the right one. That can sometimes be triggered by a different one if you plug in. I know that most of us have these blue other types of microphones, so it's a separate USB plug-in.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, that mushroom trip led me to take many, many more mushroom trips. It led me to grow my own psychedelic mushrooms. It led me to ordering spores from Terrence and his wife, Kat, at the time, had a company out of Hawaii called Sigeny. And Sigeny was a spore company that Terrence sold the spores for the Stropharia cubensis that him and his brother Dennis collected while they were in Central America in the 70s, which led to them writing the book, which is Psilocybin Mushrooms. I can't remember the name of the book. It's the first grower's guide, How to Grow Indoor Mushrooms, by O.S. Eric and O.T. whatever. Those were pen names for Terrence and Dennis McKenna. So this was in like 76 or something. I didn't come into it till almost 12 years later in the late 80s, and then eventually got led into Paul Stamets, which is also, he's been a huge inspiration in the mushroom world. Obviously, you guys can Google him and find out anything you want about OT and talked about psychedelics the other day, where he's like, psychedelics, I never killed anyone, never hurt anyone. You know, where he's kind of going through how psychedelics aren't so bad. In fact, they're pretty darn good. And if you love the cannabis community, the psychedelic community is even smaller. When you go to these little gatherings, you can literally meet anyone in that community that you want by going to one of the larger psychedelic gatherings that happen on the West Coast and in parts of Europe. They're definitely worth checking out. I haven't been to one in a while, but it's where I met Paul. It's where I met Finn McKenna, Terrence's son. And yeah, it's a cool spot to meet people. Sub. You look like you're relaxed.
Yeah, I am.
I love
Fixing to
that.
smoke some of that rosin we've been talking about.
There you go. There you go.
Where do I get one of those hats that just says fuck?
Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Look at those bushes, dude. That's ridiculous. Those are fucking huge. What do you got, 6 of them over there?
12.
12, okay, good. Like, it's like, I'm not fucking around. These things are only 10 pounds
The
each,
limit,
man.
maybe in California, we can do 12 right now, so that's what we do.
Right. Those things are going to yield some resin.
So there's no size on the 12 plants you're like to have there, right?
No, you can grow 6 plants per adult, so it just says plants.
Exactly
So
right.
here in
Yeah, it
Canada,
says
we
fucking-
Battery 90%. Connected to SAM.
Oh, good. Our battery's at 92%. Connected to your D-nail.
Sorry.
Rosin press heating up. Don't be sorry. It's funny. I'm chill, dude. I don't give a fuck. Hey, the Hustle King says, "What's up, sub cool?"
Hey, dude, how you doing, man? He's a really good fan.
And he's saying that's a
So how did
charity
the press
garden.
go about milk?
Oh, you know, the pressing, we
Yeah.
just press the lower quality. With the high quality, I really want to press I want to film it with my 4K camera, so we can't both do Hash Church and me film, because I'm hosting Hash Church, for gosh sakes, and I'm still my own cameraman I still do all my own editing, and I still take all my own pictures. And so,
and that's why we get the quality.
Just find some other quality people doing quality shit, but I'm too busy just doing shit to even go look for them. I know they're out there. There's some very, very capable people out there. What do you got there, Tony? That looks ridiculous. The fuck is that?
I need some
What's
of that right now.
Banana right there. Look at that. Woo! Strawberry banana turf sauce.
So this is the strawberry.
That looked
banana,
greasy.
This is strawberry banana goo. Just the one.
Oh, the goo.
This was a rejected label because I thought it looked too kiddie, so we got different Bubble Man labels. But I figured for this special jar today, I made some strawberry banana goo, like soft. This is like pretty saucy.
Use the restricted label.
Almost the consistency of what I put in the pen. I'm going to make it even saucier. And one thing when mixing the terpenes, wait 4 or 5 days. I know it's hard, but once you mix them in, like actually mix them in.
Yeah.
Things happen when you wait. Things happen.
Good things come to those who wait.
Yep. This was some 73 first pull from a greenhouse that was washed, that was white, and then pressed and then terped. And sometimes people think, oh, well, it's a different color. Well, all I can tell you is that, it has to do with, it's not a heat thing. This has to do with the age of the resin, or the maturity of the resin, and or when the terpenes mix in. It's 5 days in. Not like the other stuff. That other stuff was fresh. This is from greenhouse. So there's another strawberry banana goo, but it's from full melt that's been pressed with terps. But this consistency could go in the pen too. And I have Etienne. Etienne, I will come to you today, wherever you're at, after I'm done at this lounge. I will bring you your kit. The first one is turn this thing around. The first one is has lemon remedy, but then I'll have strawberry banana goo. But I want you to try it. It's unusual. I don't have a lot of them. They're just kind of limited runs of them because there's just not a lot of material of it. But it is an unbelievable, different, unique variety that I think you'll enjoy thoroughly. So after today, at some point, I will come find you and give you one of these so you can start.
Sweet.
It's nice to have a nice thing brought by and gifted to you.
I want to check out this Barbary Coast. It sounds like a really cool place.
Bro, if you could come meet, it is. We're gassing up. We're about
I'm not going to be able to make it today, dog. But I mean, I want to. It sounds like a place I want to check out for sure because I always roll with my rigs.
I would say that. First of all, they have the bar there. I thought it was really professional. They had people that cleaned your mouthpiece. They Q-tipped for you. They had 6 or 7 rigs, all plugged in, all cords, all different types of rigs. They had just solventless, so only solventless would ever touch the rig. Then they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably 11 or 12. Going off of memory, square tables that had long lounges and chairs, but every table has a plug that comes through the middle of it. So you can take your rig, plug in your own nail, and you could order from their menu in the other room and hang out in the lounge. The smoking from the dab bar was separated, so it wasn't smoky at all. And we've been a lot of places, Spain and Amsterdam and different places. I was there to do, to stop by and do some prana training and information, and I was like, oh, I need to come back here. It's a cool place. I thought it was a cool place to hang out, which I don't see that anywhere. I don't see. I mean, maybe there's a couple of them around, but I don't really see a legal spot to do that at, you know? I mean, there's
Preston
one in
just
Oakland.
sounds like he's working. He just sounds like he's puffing, he's coughing, he's moving shit, he's putting things in the cup holders. Like,
Oh, no. There's nobody in the car. It's completely silent.
oh, it's not coming through silent. I'll send you the recording. It's crazy loud. It must be you doing a bunch of shit then. The phone mic is super sensitive.
I'm not doing anything.
No shit, eh? Then maybe it's someone else in the room. I don't know.
Is it me? You hear me?
Minnesota, you're in.
Oh, finally! Thanks. Oh, that was a job and a half. I'm working on a video right now, Mark. It'll just take a second.
Yeah,
but
myself here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming through a little scratchy. Do you have a plug-in camera? I gotta get my shit together eventually and start doing this like the week or the day before, because it happens to every single person I invite in or that my friends invite in, that there's always a technical difficulty. And if we just did it the night before, we could avoid all this. I feel bad because you've been trying for over a half an hour to get into the room.
It's no big deal. I know how it is.
Well, but your mic's not coming in through good. It's scratchy, like it's.
Minnesota, go with a headset. Plug in your headset, and don't go through your computer.
Plug in my
or
headset
replug it in.
I would say that's one of the worst. The way
One of the
it's
worst
coming.
what? Yeah, sometimes that's the camera, like the USB. You kind of have to unplug it and plug it in or something. But I don't know what kind of camera he has. I don't know if he's coming in on a phone. I know that I was hearing a lot of stuff through it. I need an assistant. It's impossible. There's so many different people. What you really need to do is just the Saturday is just run go through the chat. But it's not as easy as you think. People, I'm busy on Saturdays, so are people. We don't always get to the computer at the same time.
Hey, my stuff runs fine, but this morning my mic wouldn't trigger. I had to restart it. You know, it just happens.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm experienced. You know, it just.
He's done it like 140 times, and he came in today. He's like, I'm like, oh shit. And then my whole computer was messed up today. It took me 20 minutes to start Hash Church today. I had to stop it. I came back. So I definitely know your pain, Minnesota Dabs, because I've experienced it today, my personal self. We would like to hear from you, though, if it gets working. All right, all right. Yeah, it's hard to be on the tech, Trichome Farmer. It's hard to be on
one
the
other thing, Minnesota, turn off the YouTube. Just if you were watching Hash Church, turn it off in the background. Put your headphones
Mute
in.
it.
Or mute it in the background. Then put your headphones in. And then the only other thing that could possibly cause that would be if your internal mic was like dirty or something was laying on it. But if you use the headphones, you should be all right.
Well, you guys, I'm gonna go check out this air show. The planes are flying. I'm gonna go smoke some fatties. Enjoy the day. Hope everyone has a hashy Sunday. Awesome. Peace, everyone.
No, John, you don't get to leave.
Dude, I can't sit here. I'm sorry, my back's killing me, and I'm
sorry,
really
man.
trying to be good about it.
Sorry, you need to sit there longer.
I'm gonna watch you guys, but I just gotta stand up. That's why I'm moving so much. I kind of was on a boat yesterday.
Thanks for coming in, dude. Enjoy the rest of the day. Definitely.
I'm gonna take a bong rip for you.
We'll see you soon. Yeah, please do one for me. Peace, guys.
SBG.
SB. Can't wait to squish this rosin, because right after Hash Church for me, it's like the pressing of 140 grams of hash on this new little M1 that just I pressed up a couple of photos, took a couple of photos of what I pressed up yesterday, which I guess I think I uploaded on my Instagram, but see if I can share one here. Pretty sick
That's
quality,
pretty.
right?
What were you using? What lens?
The MPE.
And so the reason all those bubbles are in it is because you used BHO?
Yeah, this is unpurged rosin. I didn't purge it. I'm still learning how to purge my rosin. So here I am.
Yeah, dude, if you're not purging it, it's pretty dirty at this point.
I just boil it on a hot plate. Like I turn
Yeah.
the hot plate up as hot as possible, and I just
Do a
boil.
coffee filter after you boil it. You'll clean it up.
Okay, I would like to state right away.
You can
That's
also
a really
just
bad
put
joke.
it on a griddle until it starts to smoke.
Don't ever do that.
Put a cup over it, put a straw under it, inhale it while you're doing that.
Or a blanket with your head inside the blanket.
Yeah. Bomb though, like the quality.
People be like, yeah, I learned that on Hash Church. I really hope you can get in because I wanted to talk. So while he's sitting there, Sam, what do you think about color in the resin though? Like what would promote, that particular color, a plum or a blue, inside the resin?
I presume it's a terpene, but it could be something else. And that's why it would really be nice is to have it analyzed so we can see what unusual has a high peak.
It's a must.
Yeah, if you had a terpene profile,
it could also,
then we could see if there was a spike there, right? Something.
It could also potentially be like a mutant form of anthocyanin. Not all anthocyanin is like purple. I'm sure that
And maybe the anthocyanin goes from the stem to the head. Like a mutated form. It just like continues forward.
I mean, I've seen a lot of varieties that were light pinkish, for example. I've seen that much more common. But yeah, but especially you also see where the white hairs turn instead of turning red-orange with old age, they at a young age start turning pinkish purplish. But I don't know for sure what's causing it. I think you guys have listed a couple of the likely suspects, but analyze.
Drug guy says it's not a mutant form. Anthocyanins appear different colors at different pHs. So there's why there's some different color anthocyanins.
There
it is.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
I wished he would click the link and come talk with us. But we're here for you when you need us, drug guy.
I have another subject that I wanted to bring up because we were kind of talking about this the other day, and because it came up with the two different types of things that you would put in the tanks, and it started with the kind of the base of what's inside this. So we're talking about defining the psychoactive experience, because it's kind of lumped into a category. But within that category, there's a couple pathways if we're talking about THC, in the sense that all of the rosin, live rosin sauces and things that we put into this tank are high terpene paired with THCA. And it's not being decarboxylated first like a distillate. So in the we're talking about in the one project with Gold Drop and Blue River, we have distillated terps, and that gives you a type of psychoactive experience. And now when you have hash or rosin with the same terpene profile or what have you, side by side, you have then B experience of that psychoactive experience. And so what's the significant difference in vaporizing the same variety with the same terpene profile in its raw form, THCA, versus trying to deliver that with a fully activated, THC and the same terpene profile? What's going on mechanically there
First of all, Tony, I doubt that it does have the exact same terpene profile. If one is decarboxylated and one is not, then that must have had some effect on the terpene profile.
Well, we removed, remember in those, so we removed the terpenes first, and then we get to the oil, and then we do like a triple molecular distillation on it, and that process
Well,
gives you a
one difference is when you're returning the terpenes, how many is that? 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 150? I mean, how many terpenes are you returning to a variety? And if it would have been analyzed, how many terpenes? I mean, there's which SC Labs tests for what, 35? We used to test
36. So we only get, so out of all of them that are, there's always, I would say with, you know, these terpene profiles, you get a hit on almost all of them that they show. But I agree. So I agree the terpene profile is not the same. But my more question, let's say you're relatively dominant in 10 terpenes for each one of those types. I'm more focused on the THCA versus the THC in the actual vaporizing.
And how is it being consumed by the people? Is it being vaporized, smoked, or oral? How are they taking
Let's say they're either both dabbed or they're both in a tank.
Well,
so there's a,
because if you vape or you smoke THCA, you convert it to THC. Bang, bang, wham, thank you, ma'am.
Immediately, all at once.
Yeah, you're not getting any
in 5 seconds.
You're not smoking any THCA. You're smoking THC.
So what you're saying, just so I'm clear, because this is where I wanted the discussion to go, was you're saying that in the 10 seconds that hash or rosin hits a quartz banger, you're saying that's enough time and enough temperature to fully decarboxylate that THCA to THC.
As far as I know, absolutely correct.
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
But yet it takes several hours.
The vapor phase is decarboxylated THC. There is no vapor phase component of THCA. That's why you don't see THCA in a GC. The GC trace, all you're going to see is THC.
Wait, say that a little louder, Mark.
That's why you don't see THCA.
No, before that.
Before that. GC trace.
There is no vapor phase.
Yeah.
So there's no vapor phase for THCA.
No, the vapor phase of when he hits the nail, and now the resin, which is a semi-solid or a sugar, if it's THCA, it's crystalline THCA, immediately decarboxylates, and what's in the vapor phase above that is now vapor phase, THC, not THCA.
If it was THCA raw, but you have to keep in mind this is going to be a hash rosin or a flower rosin, so it's not just THCA. It's 70% THCA and 30% of other terpenes and fats or what have you. In the plant.
So the presence of all that other stuff.
But we were talking about the THC versus THCA. And
yes.
Yeah.
And the presence
of smoking converts it. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
No, I know smoking converts it, but if we're dabbing something or vaporizing something in the 350 range to 500 range for a short period of time, is that enough time to convert the THCA? And you just said that there's no vapor for THCA. So has that been thoroughly discovered all the way? Or is that
yes?
Because
no. This has been studied and the kinetics are known, and you can't keep this from happening. Decarboxylation is instantaneous at that temperature, and now what you're doing also is kinetically, once decarboxylation happens, you can start hydrogenating the methyl cyclohexene ring up to CBN. So that will start to happen in the presence of air. But for the most part, THC is vaporized from the decarboxylation thermal decarboxylation of THCA, and it's an irreversible reaction. Once it's entropically favored because you're splitting off a molecule of CO2 that can never, no way, recombine with the THC to make THCA. So the arrow is a one-way arrow. It's a one-way trip from THCA to THC.
And what's the temperature point for that to instantaneously happen?
Well, it happens at room temperature, just very slow. So it all depends on the rate. The reaction rate is directly proportional to the temperature. And so this has been studied. So at different temperatures, you have different reaction rates. So I think after like 110 degrees centigrade, 90% of decarboxylation has occurred. So, and that's just, you know.
Well, there is a chart. There is a chart.
I remember.
Yeah, there is a chart.
I remember reading a report about the volcano pipe, and they said a small amount of the THCA is delivered undecarboxylated. So I don't know how that fits in with what you're talking about vapor, and I don't know if their research was correct or not. But I did read that a very tiny amount of it was delivered. Because I was always wondering, are vaporizers as good as the regular pipes? This was years and years and years ago. And then what I realized was at the time, most of the vaporizers were not delivering as big of a hit. In other words, if you put 1 gram of marijuana or 1 gram of extract or whatever in it, the vaporizer would make 5 or 10 inhalations, whereas you could do it in a bong, in a pipe, in one hit. So it was different. Comparing apples to oranges was the real difference between why I couldn't find bongs that were, vaporizers that were satisfying, like the volcano.
Yeah, because I find it's hard to explain the difference when I'm hitting these types of tanks that are more of like the raw or a live rosin that has all of these other organic components and compounds and other things in there versus a super refined, clean 90-something% distillate with a terpene profile. They're two completely different.
And if you like all those little things, then there's no way the distillate's going to be as good.
Yeah, different. It's different. I would say, like the distillate with the terps comes on much stronger or faster right away, and then it's very kind of almost like a precise, like if I compared the two together, I would say like the distillate was more like precise, like I was more center focused with my experience there. And then in this type of, in the raw form with all of its other compounds, it's more of like, out the ears, more expanding, more expansive, and it's a slower,
yeah, I think that's just some
process.
kind of entourage effect. I'm not sure that that's specific to, whether you're getting decarboxylation or not. I think decarboxylation is how you get the compounds into where the CB1 receptors are in your brain and crossing the blood-brain barrier. I think decarboxylation is required for that. There's people who are looking at the delivery of the acid itself and how the acid can be delivered across the membrane. But in general, the cannabinoid acids just have a different translocation than through the cell wall than their decarboxylated analogs because of the acid group. And so, exactly, sure, Tony. I think that again, this goes back to if you purified that THCA by subsequent recrystallizations, and you can do that in pentane, is a good recrystallization solvent, and just
with terpenes
recrystallize it over and over and over and over again to where you have pure THCA. You again may not have the same effect because the entourage or the ensemble effect of those 5 to 15% other stuff that's in your sugar is probably causing that effect, and not necessarily due to whether decarboxylation. I think has to happen in order for you to feel the high itself. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
So if we had a delivery device that could deliver this without any heat and no decarboxylation, it would be something that would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think delivery, and there's a guy who's studying this right now. His first name is Guillermo, and his last name escapes me, but I think he's a professor in San Diego, and he's studying. He's the guy who. He's the guy who published a paper. Can you pass the acid test? And it was referring to THCA. And so, yeah, I think delivering THCA across the blood-brain barrier is a significant achievement if it could happen. Like if it could be somehow like solubilized, and, with oil or something like that, to be able to get it delivered, across the blood-brain barrier would be a significant thing.
Because I think there's it with ultrasonics.
Yeah,
I'm
not sure that gets it across the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier.
I don't know either. I know it'll deliver it to the lungs.
Yeah, I think the blood-brain barrier is a really delicate dance of hydrophobicity and sterics to be able to get through. And not all compounds get through. But I think, and again, this is sort of a general theory, is that terpenes kind of loosen up the locks a little bit. So terpenes kind of let stuff flow in and out of the membrane a little bit more so than if they weren't there at all. And so part of the ensemble effect, part of that effect just might be, again, an enhanced exchange between the interior and exterior portion of the cell.
I've been getting this incredible entourage effect. I'm mixing crack cocaine in with my bubble. I'm joking.
Yeah, that would be a really bad joke.
Yeah. Hey, welcome D420K. You froze or something?
Bone rip, everybody.
Is Minnesota Dabs back in the house?
Can you guys hear me at all this time?
The strawberry banana goo.
Can you hear me? Or
yes, I hear you.
Hey, sorry, Sam.
First of all, we got Tony talking to Preston. Boom, there it is. That's a lot of the background noise is coming from Tony's car. So that's quiet now. And we can hear you, Preston. How are you?
You can hear me.
I can hear you.
Oh, how's it going, everybody? It's about time I got in. I'm on crappy webcam, so I really can't show the color of it too much, but...
The perps?
Yeah. And I don't think it has any... It might have something to do with the terpenes, but actual trichome heads are really interesting themselves, where all of ice with in them. Like, it's all ink blot, and every trichome head is individual with its own style ink blot when you look underneath the scope.
And if you look at the plants when they're growing, is there this color coming up the stem, the resin stem underneath the head?
Yeah, I'm actually, you talking the stalk of the resin head?
Absolutely correct.
It's not like most of the other strains, like cookies and stuff like that. I've noticed has a solid purple stalk, and then the resin heads are clear, amber. But this one doesn't really have that. This one, to me, looks like it's an ink blot, like inside of the trichome head. It's not super melty, so what it is I'm thinking it has a really thick shell on the trichome head with just a little bit of that goodness in there, each one.
And if you make rosin out of it, what color is the rosin?
The rosin actually comes out like this little bit of a pinkish color, purple to it, but
you got to hold it a little further back.
So you're pressing blue and you're getting pink or purple.
it's not really blue. I'll go get a big jar out of the freezer to show you, Sam.
It looks like it
looks like
it looked like it was a little more like normal rosin though. It didn't look that blue or purple.
No, it doesn't carry over in the rosin at all, really. It just has a slight tinge to it. I'll grab you the big jar and show you the big jar.
It sounds like what he's saying is there is a thicker wall of this head, and in it has some form of ink block impression, and maybe when he's pressing it, that the skins of the walls of the trichomes are being caught in the 25.
All right, so hold that a little
And
ways
out
away
comes
from
the
your
rosin.
camera. There we go. A little bit further. You can really see the purple hue for certain right there. That's purple.
Yeah.
Tell him to talk so I can see it.
Tell him to
What
talk.
was that, Sam?
I'm holding the camera on his. Oh, I see. He's got his camera set up so you have to talk for him to see it on his computer.
Oh, okay. I actually I got some dry sift I'm gonna go grab for Sam right now. I made some dry sift of this last night.
And
it
what's
didn't
the
come
color?
out as purple. It's half of this purple.
All right, cool, very cool. Purple resin. What do you know? What do you know? It's all different. Oh, what these kids are doing these days.
I hope you appreciate that. I try to seek out a unique guest, because I think that's pretty unique. That's like I saw that going around and I was like, I thought it was like a little photography. Then I looked closer and I'm like, it seems very rare and unusual of what's going on there.
Yeah, the terp profile on this is like no other I've ever smelt. Nothing comes close to me.
Do you want to figure out what it is?
What is?
What is
What's
making the color? In other words, what compound is found in it that's not found in other varieties that don't have that color?
Oh, I hear you totally. Yeah. The thing with me is I'm a single source farmer in the state of Michigan. Our plant rights, I can have 72 plants, but I'm only allowed 2.5 ounces per patient. So it's me and 5 other patients.
No, I think he's talking about he wants to get it tested, my man. Have you had it
Yeah,
tested?
I hear that. I haven't had it tested yet.
Why is it purple?
Enough material to do that yet. Finally, my whole garden is going to this. It's I'm a single guy. Like I do everything from gardening to making the hash to packaging the hash. Like I'm super single source.
I think it only takes like 1/4 gram for the test.
I'll be totally down for that. In Michigan, they hit us for a gram. They want a gram to test anything.
That's because they're doing a
Because
bioassay.
it's pretty good. They want to have something to smoke.
They're doing both the chemistry test and the bioassay. They're like, we're going to need to smoke 3/4 gram.
Yeah, it's like a couple, like with 2 grams, you could find out a whole world of information.
Oh yeah, like
if they send me 5 grams, I'll tell them exactly what I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at the Night Times Cup in down in Michigan again, the 9th and 10th of September, and 40 grams of this down there. So if anybody's from out in the Cali area, make sure they stop by my booth, and I'll make sure I get some aside so some can go to the hash church, guys.
Well, shit, 9th and 10th, I'm up in Toronto at the Karma Cup on the exact same days. I guess we're both going to be at a booth, both at an event, and both dabbing people out.
That's right.
Well, see if you can. Does Michigan test for terpenes and such? So, because you could take 1.5 grams and get your potency and your terpene. You get your terpene and potency test.
You need to cross this variety with cheese. Then you'd have blue cheese.
Yeah,
then
you think
flour
it would,
really
it would smell
amazing,
like
too.
cheese but be blue? That would be funny if it looked blue and smelled like cheese.
That's the flower there?
Yeah, the flower comes out just purple as can be as well. Like the flower is it's the most. I bet you the flower. For the secret cup, I entered
Can you hold it up to your camera?
For the
Can you hold it to your camera and not spit like just 10 seconds? Because it'll show nicer that way.
How many weeks is this grown?
This is harvested anywhere from 55 to 58 days.
Pull back a little bit.
It's a real fast one.
Yeah, just a little bit more further back.
A little bit more.
Is it sun grown or is this grown under lights?
Oh, this is grown under double-ended HPSs. HPS metal halide blend. This is the actual strain of this is a Girl Scout cookie pheno times Tangy, and then Tangy times GDP, and then them two crossed together. It was made by Phenotype Farmers out in Washington.
And did someone ask you what nutrients you've been growing that with? Because a lot of people asked in the chat room here.
I grow 100% organic, Mark. I make 100% amended soil with 26 amendments, and all my plants get is just water and beneficial teas and microbes.
Beautiful.
Brings out more of that flavor, you know, that organic and anything else.
Very good. Look at this. Mr. Chimera's in the room. The flow of secretory products down the trichome stalk.
Yeah, this is available online. It's David Potter's thesis from GW. This is one of Sam's students. And this is a thesis he did called the propagation, characterization, and optimization of cannabis sativa as a phytopharmaceutical. Anyway, you just search David Potter thesis and some of that title online, and you'll find it. They did a bunch of trichome work, microscopes and stuff. And this is one of their varieties that has, you know, you can see these purple vesicles in the resin gland head. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
It looks very similar.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but it could be this. And like I was saying, to Marcus earlier, you know, anthocyanins. They've taken anthocyanin pigment and moved them around in trying to develop flowers of different colors, right? Like one of the things that's a big drive. It's worth big money in the flower industry is to make a blue rose. So they've taken these anthocyanin pigments and moved them around from plant to plant. And one of the things they realize is that as they end up in different tissues or different vacuoles in different plants, those little compartments have different pHs in different plants. And when you have a different pH plus that anthocyanin pigment, it changes the color of the pigment. So I don't know. I don't know if it's related. I just thought I'd pop in and show this because it could be something related to this.
Yeah, totally. You should come by soon and squish something with me. I got this new little rosin press that is really fun.
Cool.
That's an open invitation.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll show it to you real quick. These guys have been playing with it here. Look at this little thing.
Is this also Sasquatch? It is.
Yeah! That's them over there. Part of the team. They're Sasquatched.
Looks like they've been squished.
Yeah, they're squished.
UPFO'd. He did it.
Mark, is that the new desktop model, the Sasquatch?
It really is, yeah. Dude, what I really like about it is no loud air compressor. This little guy right here, little hand pump,
right,
will close these things so fast. Like, I think it's 5 of these close the plates completely, or 6, and then you can pump it with the pressure. There's a little gauge that can go in it, so I guess that's the one thing we're missing, so you can actually see the pressure. But Matt's been
So
doing
how big a bag of heads can you fit in the plates on that model?
Oh, I don't know. What do you think the maximum would be on that model there, Matt?
14 grams.
14 grams of hash or flowers?
Flour.
So 14 grams of flour. So that's a lot of hash that you could fit in there then.
Right.
The ounce of hash.
Probably a good ounce.
So how big is the envelope? Can you show me like an envelope, a bubble
Like
bag
one of the
envelope?
Yeah. Do you guys have
Yeah.
the screens over there? These ones are the smaller screens that he's saying he'd fit about 14 grams of herb. This is it right here.
Those look like they fit like 7 grams of herb.
So these ones fit 7 grams of herb. 10 grams of hash, yeah.
And those are 25 micron?
32? You guys have or 36? 35. Mine are 32 micron, the ones that I make.
Right.
But
So you're not using your own bags?
Yeah, I do use my own bags as well, but I'm like super humble, dude. Like I'll be like, I'm better at promoting other people's companies than my own. I'll just make their.
I thought you were going to respond, I'm much too expensive.
What do you think of stainless steel bags?
For pressing?
Yes.
I'm not a huge fan of it myself. They're awkward. They're difficult. They conduct heat, so they raise the heat. Like I don't. Do you like them?
It can damage your blocks too.
Oh, and it can damage your blocks. There you go.
Do you think very much of the resin absorbs into the screen?
It depends on how efficient you are. You know how like when you give bong rips and some people take the whole thing and you feel great about it, but other people leave like 2/3 of it melted into the screen and you have to tell them, yeah, you got to keep hitting it. It's still there. And they're like, no, it's gone. You're like, no, it melted into the screen. Keep hitting it. So it's like the same thing with this. Some people know how to hit it and some people are like, just like fill it up with oil and leave it there. So if you're inefficient, if you don't follow simple rules, like for instance, Matt told a very, very good tip yesterday that we filmed. As he was filling it up with bud, he was kind of breaking them up. He said, you really want to square off the corners. You want to fill the buds right into the corners, pack them in, pack the whole top so there's no round corners because those are places that will create air spaces, and air spaces are places that will trap oil. So, put it this way. We got like 28.5% or 28.7% off of the Where's My Bike. He thought it would get 30. We might have had 1% left in the little thing, maybe less. It's hard to say how efficient we were.
Have you ever heard of anybody who's gotten a high extraction and then taken that material and put it in a desiccator to see what percentage of it is water?
Like the material itself, when you got the really high...
The rosin that comes out of the device.
But it's a good idea. I mean, to me, if the rosin has moisture in it, it won't hit properly. It'll sputter. It'll pop. It just when
you don't know what the minimum maximum is. For example, when people are talking about doing, they're saying they like to do it with fairly damp buds because they get a better results.
Yeah, I don't like to do it with too damp of a bud. I like to do it with just like the moisture content is so important because if you don't have enough of it in there, the moisture is kind of really what's out and getting.
I understand exactly, Mark, but I guess what I'm getting at is, aren't the ones with higher moisture contents putting more moisture in the rosin than ones with lower moisture? Forget the yields, forget anything else.
Well, I'll tell you, the stuff we used yesterday was very, very dry. Wasn't that Where's My Bike or was it the headbanger that he was worried about how dry it was? It was like 5% moisture or something. Yeah. But what do you think that Where's My Bike was at? Like more like a 10% moisture. Oh, grab bag. Better plug it back in. I unplugged it like a doing. I can assure you, I do not know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think a lot of that moisture is fugitive in the process and basically dissipates, right? So
I think
moisture is the driving force, which is pushing the oil out from high pressure to lower pressure,
and
right?
Making it oil. First, making it oil while pressing it out.
And aren't you doing this at such a temperature that the water is actually steam, and if it's steam, it's just going to evaporate. Like probably a little bit is retained, but I would imagine that a lot of it, if it's the right temperature.
I'm just curious what that retention is, and all you have to do is throw a 30-gram slab into a desiccator overnight and see if there's any weight change.
All you got to do, guys.
Yeah, you could just do something called a Carl Fisher titration to determine to 3 decimal points what the water content in any material is. So, yeah, there's ways that you could determine what the moisture content.
I'm just curious. I'm not sure and I do agree with most of the points that if you get the moisture level too high, it's probably fucked up, and if it's way too low, it screws up yield. So I understand the need of a sweet point. I'm just curious, what that has of an effect on the moisture level of the material when you're done.
I know one thing.
Well, I think
go ahead.
Moisture, pressure, and temperature all play an integral role, and the material itself being the ultimate variable. So the resin content and the extrudable material on what you're pressing, and the time, temperature, pressure, and
I presume once it's been pressed, you want rosin with as low a moisture content as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think rosin is not very hydrophilic, so the terpene content will sort of attenuate its ability to hold water, but in general, it's not very water. It's not a water compatible environment, right? Most of the water is lost. Very little water remains behind.
Well, I just took a delicious dab, and it fucking tasted like heaven. That was so good.
Hey, Mark, though, going back to Sam's question, so he asked about the bag makeup, so whether it was nylon or whether it was steel, or is that what he asked, a wire mesh or some kind of metal? So, I don't know what other fabrics, or like people were asking about different parchment papers and, what is the ideal parchment paper. All of those papers, I think without exception, are coated with something, because they have to be coated so the paper doesn't stick together in the process of making the paper. So all of these materials could impact the material that you're pressing, right? Because you're pressing it at such a temperature where terpenes, which are a good solvent, can essentially start to solubilize and move things around. So
I said this from the start, that people shouldn't just use any bags. That, like, the bags that I use for bubble bags, for instance,
right.
It's like pharmaceutical screen. It's from Switzerland. It's super high grade. It's heat stamped and pressure tested. So when it gets hot and it gets put under pressure, it doesn't change its form. It doesn't off gas. It doesn't
Is it nylon, Mark? Is the material itself nylon?
It's polyethylene nitex.
So it's not nylon or polyester.
That's correct, Sam. It is not nylon.
Okay. Yeah, because
but
the most common screens that I saw were polyester.
Understand this. Every type of screen is being used on the market right now.
Oh, I know that.
What kind of screens they're using. If you ask most companies, what kind of screen you're using, they'll just be like, we're not even sure, actually.
The common ones in the silk screening industry were Nybolt and Polymon. Both of them were Swiss.
In Europe.
Yeah, yes, and both of them were Swiss.
Yes. So China has a whole other range of different screens. I don't buy my screen in China. I never have, because they don't have that quality screen. You can't even find it anywhere. It's like I have to buy it in Switzerland, and it's not cheap. But it doesn't make your rosin taste like plastic or rubber.
Yeah, so I had some choppy internet there for a second. So did you say that these are made of nylon, Mark?
No, I did not. Should we go over this for the fourth time?
No. I had choppy internet for like about 5 minutes.
Actual screen type that I'm using.
I'm sorry?
No, I'm not using nylon.
Okay, but it's some kind of it's a plastic, right? There's a
It's a Nitex.
Okay, all right. I was just wondering again what the material is, because not all materials are meant to be heated up, and certainly some materials.
Exactly what I was saying, and exactly why, if you heard when I first said it, why the screens I use for bubble bags are good is because they have a heat and a pressure rating. They are tested to be heated up a certain amount and to be pressurized a certain amount. So these screens come from Switzerland. It's super fucking expensive screen, and it's so that whatever process they're using it in, that it doesn't change form. For me, I didn't care about the pressure and the heat. What I cared about was that when I put it in and out of water many, many, many times, like over the course of 20 years, that the holes themselves didn't lose form like silk and the majority of these other types of screen. They're woven, but they're not heat stamped to the point where they're never going to change this unless you melt them. You have to heat them way over 500 degrees or something to get them to melt, to change the size and the hole of the screen. So for me, that was the most important thing. Also, the diameter of the thread and the ratio of the thread versus hole surface, which is when you get into screening, it's not just about how small the hole is, it's about how wide of a diameter the screen threads are, because that makes up how much of your hole is open and the whole screen is actually screen material. And these are ratios that if you go the wrong way and you get too thick of a fiber that makes these holes very small, even though the holes are the same size, it's the craziest thing. Shit doesn't fall through them the same way. And it took me a while to learn about. What's that?
We spent many years learning about this, and what we found out in the end was one of the most interesting screen was super thin metal sheets that they were using for fabric printing, and they were laser drilled, so they had round holes.
Right. Yep, those are great. I love, in fact, the stainless steel units that we're making for commercial water hash extraction will have those exact laser perforated round holes. That is when you no longer have to be obsessed with the thread diameter of your screen. So this is why it's crazy.
But you still want as much open surface versus covered surface.
Yes, absolutely. Hello. No.
Nobody's here.
I could say, Mark, I still have a.
Go ahead.
I still have a set of your bags from when I met you in Amsterdam. I think it was the 23rd or 24th. It was one of the last cups there when it got raided that day when they came in. I just missed it. I seen you the day before.
They always start their raids with me. They go to my booth first in Amsterdam. They're busting the whole cannabis cup. They're like, we know where to start. They come over all mad with the tax guys and the 10 police. And I'm like, what's going on?
I think Mila had a booth right next to you that year.
My partner, we work distributors for one another. Doug from Hempworks and Hemp Hoodlum, and me but with Bubble Bags, we distribute each other's products. And I guess a guy who was one of his friends was on acid that day, and he had all this weed that he brought from like California or Colorado. You know, he wanted to be the man in Amsterdam, had like 2 half pounds. And he had this huge, crazy, like, you know, those little containers that you have to push the button to get the lid off, or it's like a vacuum and you can't get it off. Well, he had like a 5-gallon one. And so he stuffed it full of all this weed he had because he was so high. He heard there were cops around. And then he stuffed it behind Adam's booth, Adam and Doug's booth, because Adam Dunn is the other partner in this. So they started with our booth. And of course, they found this like 2 pounds or 1.5 pounds of weed right away. I was like, is that going to be a pain in the ass for you? He's like, oh, yeah, I'll be going through court for 2 years with this. This is awesome.
You know where most people hid their stash? They put it in a plastic bag and put it in the bottom of the trash cans.
Oh, I saw a lot of that. But there was also stashed all over the floors. It was a pretty crazy crazy experience to
It
have those
wasn't
cops.
the last year that got busted. It was the last 2 years.
The year before. Yeah, I
This is
just
what
missed
people-
it.
This is what people didn't know, that the getting busted for weed and hash was nothing. It was the tax people that were there. And if you admitted that you were selling things,
looking for illegal workers.
Oh my God, dude, that's the pain. So right away, I'm lucky. My Doug is living in Holland for how many years? 20 years? 25 years?
Yes, something like that.
So he tells me right away, he says, listen, we were making the sales and I'm your distributor. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And he's like, okay, well, that's all you have to say. Like, don't go and tell them you're, like that you're making sales on the side because that's illegal. And I'm like, no problem. I'm not making any sales on the side. And it worked out very well for us. Well, I saw other people going, oh yeah, we're keeping receipts. And it's like, oh my God, like those are they didn't know that the yellow jacket people were the tax people. The revenue, whatever they're called in Holland. What are they called in the Netherlands?
Belastingdienst.
Oh.
Belastingdienst.
Belastingdienst?
Yes.
Just
yeah,
the word.
I walked into the event like 10 minutes after they left, and there was nobody. It was like crickets in there. Nobody knew what to do.
Yeah,
and
I was puffing bowls because the whole time we were getting searched, I puffed bowls, and the whole time they made us sit there, I puffed bowls with all the people around me who were holding 5 grams each of all my hash.
Yeah, that was what was funny. You could have 5 grams. But I saw so many people stash bags underneath trash cans, inside the bottom of trash cans, up in the air, down in the ground, just everywhere.
You know what their problem is? You know what their problem was? That they didn't have a bunch of friends with no stash, because all my friends had no stash, and I was just giving them 5 gram chunks to hold on. I had I think Dana Larson and Brittany, and there was like a couple of other people, like 4 or 5 people I gave 5 grams of hash, and I was like, all right, okay, I'm good now. I can't have this hash be taken away. It was too beautiful and awesome. And we had to smoke it at Legends, so we can't be fucking around with the lead stat people coming and doing their tax thing with us. No messing around. So that's cool, Minnesota. We met.
We're getting fucked up when they were saying you could only bring 5 grams into the event as a person who bought a ticket and was coming to visit. I mean, that was so whack, because at the time you could actually buy 5 grams at a time, but you could possess 30 grams.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was the tolerance.
Yeah,
but
that's what I had.
At that event, they said, I went and talked to the police about it. They said, no, we have a special dispensation from the government. You can only have 5 grams at this event.
Right, but was that one not in Amsterdam? It was in where was it? It was just outside.
The first one got busted outside of Amsterdam.
Eindhoven?
The last one, it was on the water. It was on the water in some warehouse, the last one they had.
Yeah, but where was it?
It was 5 grams.
It wasn't Amsterdam. It was a different.
It was just out of town.
Yeah, it was Amsterdam. Yeah.
Wow.
And one of, I mean, it's maybe just technically outside the limit of Amsterdam, but it's Amsterdam.
It was, because the mayor of the place that it was from flipped out. I remember seeing her on the news. She was the one that got all this fucking shit happening. The tax people, the cops, the special 5 gram rule.
Yeah, the first time, that's who did it. You're correct.
Right. Yeah. Shit.
And then you got to remember, it was the second time I was over in Amsterdam. 5 grams meant nothing to me. Every coffee shop I went in, I walked out with 5 grams. Like back at the hotel that night, I had about 50 grams on the bed. Go to leave, the airport, you're rolling 20-gram joints with 5-6 grams of hash in it, chiefing down on the way to Central Station because you bought too much for the trip. Experience over there, that's for sure.
Airport joints. There used to be a coffee shop years ago, like a little one. They didn't sell it, but you could consume cannabis in the airport. And I did it one time, and I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, this is in the airport. It happened, I think, in 94, 95, and then I never saw it again. It was still there, the place, and you could smoke cigarettes, but you couldn't smoke joints anymore. You could go there and smoke your last joint. It was like when I still smoke joints. just 20 years
Yeah,
ago or so.
I remember that place. It was run by the police. They were just trying to help you.
Could we please see your passport? Oh, yeah, here, no problem. Oh, fuck. It's a sick world. He patented it. Well, Tony, are you back at the place there, buddy? I saw the table and the bong. I'm telling you, people, I was up till 1 or 2 in the morning, and I got up at like 6 in the morning. I think I got 4 hours sleep. It was worth it because we're, away here, British Columbia, in the mountains, in the trees, and it's very, very beautiful, and I'm glad we made it. And High Integrity Glass Arts, always quality to come visit. Press up this hash. It's going to be good, but I'm still very, very, very tired. Oh, I think I just got a message from Flav, too, saying I'm coming.
Bring any beauties, any of them mothership elites over? Or?
Dude, he gets those mothership elites from High Integrity. I'm at High Integrity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, trust me. They're everywhere. There's
mothership
surrounding me. No, I'm just joking. No, that shit's all in storage, safe where it belongs. But he always has an incredible personal piece that's like, what the fuck is that, dude? That's ridiculous. Like that dosa that we're hitting, or even that little egg. That's a super small little egg, dude. Oh, there we go, Tony. It's looking pimpity pimps. I like the velour wallpaper. The a cigar aficionado place. This is like a dab bar that I have. It's definitely like, kind of like for a cigar type aficionado, but really not for cigar aficionados at all. For resin aficionados, for people who want to have a beautiful space to share, vibe out, have their nice pipe, and not be worried about it getting broken or stolen, and just have a great session. Nice. It's pretty nice. Big TV up on the walls there. All right, all right. Dab bar. Tony's like holding it down. There's nobody in the dab bar. He's just like, yeah, we're going to hold it down here. I'm going to just hit my pen. He just goes to the dab bar, doesn't even have a rig. He just pulls out the pen. He's like, yeah, so, yeah, it's just pull, press, pull. Oh, there it is. Clear domes. And I'm telling you, good timing. Oh, there we go. Got the piece. Plug it in, plug it in. Man, there's a lot of stuff these days that we need to have with us when we go and we travel to the dab bar. I know any cannabis, resin aficionado in particular, concentrate user can relate to this. Getting to the dab bar, pulling out the gear, you got the pelly, you got all your hash, you got your dab mat, you got your toker poker or your little dabber tool, you got your Q-tips and your DC glass cleaner, you got your, your D-nail, you got your nail, you got, oh, where's my whip? Oh, I can't find my whip. Oh, shit, did I not bring the whip? Fuck! And you forget the one thing, and it's just like, oh my God, man, there's so much stuff.
Well,
there we go, look at that.
As long as you have some really, really, really great thing to smoke, everything else you can get from your friends.
This is true. This is true.
Very nice Matt Robertson there. You're hitting there in Minnesota.
Yeah. I meant to say that as well, Etienne. Love Matt Robertson. I met him in Amsterdam at the Cannabis Cup. There when we were one of the last years that it was in that big. That's actually also where I met Johnny B. Oh, it's all full already too. Nice. I didn't realize that one that he was going to show was a full cartridge. It always looks crazy to open the box. Just to be able to sell those full of oil is amazing. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I think it's 0.5 gram in each cartridge. It's like a good chunk is terps. It's terp rich, let's just say. Hitting some Master Kush butter, says Andrew NLD. Chazzy Chaz. Buy them full. That's the way to do it. I wish we could sell those all over the world like that. Or you could just buy that and just be like, there you go. Tony's got the stash. So do we. So do we. Don't get me wrong. Hopefully everything worked out with Natasha. She said she was having some issues earlier. When is that coming out at Harborside? Do you know when that's coming out at Harborside, Tony? When are we releasing these things? Nice, tough and puffin'.
It's a little loud here. When we're going to release these things? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I wanted to know when they're released things. Maybe type it and I'll say it out loud. I don't want the music to get us like I don't. I can't. Yeah, cool. Can't put copyrighted music on YouTube where it gets even like 5 seconds will get you, especially if it's a popular song.
Okay, here we go. We turned it down. Sweet.
Excellent. Well, if he's playing if he's playing mainstream music, it doesn't matter how quiet it is. It just matters that if YouTube picks it up and it's copyrighted, this Hash Church they'll mute this. They'll mute our words. It'll just be silent. They did it to my Great Gardener video. I used to.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess I
what
can't
music
remember.
This is. This is like big band, jazzy, like.
Well, I'll let you know. We've already done it long enough, so we might as well. It just depends if the song changes and it turns into like Mariah Carey or some like super mainstream thing.
Right here.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just put a lot of energy into these Hash Churches. So one of the things that's very important is for us not to have background music that is copyrighted.
All right, I'll answer it. I'll answer it quickly then. We're gonna spend another 6
All
months
right.
just puffing on them personally. We're not gonna release them for at least 6 more months. Yeah. So listen, this is what's going on. Real quick, the Lemon Remedy was the first one to get going because it's a really special one, and that was on small batches, and then we're gearing up for a giant strawberry banana goo release. And the reason why we're holding back is to be able to make sure that there's enough to go around to where it's not one of those things where you put it out there and people are like, oh yeah, I got one of those 100. You know, this has got to be a real launch with, you know, the ability to be able to get refills and tanks and pre-filled kits and the whole 9 yards, you know. So, and you don't just want one variety. So we're going to lead off with some Bay Area cookies and strawberry banana goo. So we're going to have 2 flavors that people can get to right away. And then we'll have all kinds of spin-offs. But the website and the information and everything that's going into it just takes a while. I'd rather it be done right than release stuff without all the information and done in sequence, you know? So I would say Friday of next week, start to see some. I would hope that BPG and some of our friends at Harborside and maybe Barbary Coast would be the first to get them, you know?
Nice. Very cool. So Friday of next week, there you go.
Yep.
There's the long and short of it right there.
Yes, sir.
And get that plum crazy tested. What should I get it tested for? I know potency doesn't matter, but what would be some useful information for you guys?
What do you say there, Chimera? You still around?
Yeah, I'm just in and out.
He's
In and
wondering
out.
what he should test his purple hash for. Like if you were taking that into a lab, what would you want to find out about it? What would you be looking for?
Well, I think you want to get a terpene profile for sure.
Yeah, I
See
mean,
what
you
the
do all
terpenes
those basic tests. I think that you probably, to be directing to try and figure out what the color is, I'd be looking at some kind of anthocyanin screen. There's a chemist, I can't remember his name right now. I met him at ICRS, but he was working with the group at Mary's Medibles. If you get in touch with Mary's Medibles, there's a chemist there named Jessica Reedy, and she can put you in touch with this guy who was doing a whole series of screens for different anthocyanins. And I think that's probably what I'd be looking at first, because I think, you know, it makes the most sense that that's probably what it is.
Yeah, if you want to figure it out and it's in cannabis, you could send it to Discover 64. They're a lab in Fort Collins, and they have all the sophisticated instrumentation, and whether it's an anthocyanin or not, they'll tell you exactly to a gnat's eyebrow everything that's in your extract. Everything.
Okay.
It costs a little bit of money to do that, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably send a sample off downstate this week and get it at least terp profile on it and stuff like that, and a terp content. In my eyes, it's over 7% terps guaranteed. So, see what it comes out at, what flavors.
I would do a terpene profile at a laboratory that's, you know, known for doing terpene profiles and be able to get some kind of reproducibility in terms of being able to, you know, not just hang your hat on one piece of data. So if you could send it to a couple different labs and kind of get an idea of what the terpene profile is, if you think that, again, the essence itself, which is the terpenes, could essentially make color components and not necessarily anthocyanins. But the change with pH is indicative of things like flavonoids. So flavonoids all have open hydroxylic groups, and these hydroxylic groups, depending on the pH, could be ionized to the phenoxide ion. And often, because of the conjugation in these molecules, they are highly colored. And like a pH indicator, at a particular pH, all of a sudden they'll go from either being yellow, colorless, to typically red. A lot of flavonoids are red in color. And so I saw the micrograph that Ryan was showing earlier. Those look more reddish, on the reddish purple side, and I would tend to think that those are due to flavonoids. And you got to remember too that flavonoids have what's called a high extinction coefficient, which means that a very, very small amount of material can lead to a very intense color. So like a dye molecule, think of like a food coloring. You know, you take one drop of food coloring and it colors an entire, you know, gallon of water, because those in the dye have very, very high extinction coefficients. So there's a lot of the highly colored components in cannabis also are high extinction coefficient, and especially those that emit out towards the blue and the purple colors. And so I would think that, again, maybe not so much anthocyanins, but it could just be some particular combination of terpenes that is giving rise to the color, such that if you actually separated it out, it would be something that you could actually observe. So here's another thing that you can do at home. It's just a paper chromatography experiment where you take a little thin strip of paper. It would be useful if it were just something like not bleached or not any way chemically treated, but you can take the paper and dip it in the terpene solution itself, and as it absorbs up the paper, you'll sometimes be able to separate out the different color components, if there are different color components that are giving the overall color of purple. So what gives purple? Well, that would be blue and red, right? So maybe you'll end up separating out a blue band and a red band, and that's what's giving the rise to the purple in color. But for a science experiment, for those of you who have kids who need a cool science experiment to do, you can do that with flavored Kool-Aids. So you can get all the different flavors of Kool-Aids and basically do paper chromatography to separate out the different pigments and different colored Kool-Aids. It's a cool little science experiment to do with your kids to demonstrate chromatography as a way to separating out different colors. But I think the other thing that you could do with this stuff immediately is, if you get the cannabinoid and the terpene profile, come back to us on Hash Church and let's see what that data looks like. So if the cannabinoids account for, you know, I don't know, 85% of the hash or 90%, depending on, you know, what kind of potency it is, and the terpenes account for, say, another 13%, well, then you're basically accounting for most of the material, and you're just getting this color as a bulk property of putting all those things together, some of which have color in and of themselves, but most of the cannabinoids are colorless, and most of the terpenes are colorless, although some of them are yellow. Most of them are actually colorless liquids. But terpenes can be colored, and so certainly, like, azulene, which has a very, very metallic blue kind of color to it, could be something that's giving rise to the purplish hue in here. So there could be azulene in there.
Because I've made a lot of water hash in my day, and I've never run across a strain like this. I've made purplish hash, but nothing like this with this terp profile, the flavor. It's just on point on another level, and I'm kind of switching my whole garden over to about 4 strains that have these crazy solventless. So
this came out of a water hash process?
Oh, yeah.
So have you ever tried to do any other extraction? Do you still see the same color in other types of extraction?
I've done a BHO extraction with it, and it doesn't come out that color. It comes out. It doesn't come out that gold yellow color. It does come out like a darker maroon gold color. But
okay, then.
And then flower rosin will come out early purple. But if I do a cured flower, it won't come out purple.
Okay, so that tells my chemical intuition that it's an anthocyanin that's giving rise to that color. So you're only seeing that in a water process. Is that right again?
Yes.
Okay.
Dry sift too as well.
Yeah, I would say that's anthocyanin pigment that's leached, because you would see the blue and you would see the azulene in the BHO extract, but maybe it's there in just such small quantities you're not seeing it. What color is the BHO? Is it any unusual color? Does it have a metallic?
That's right. Everything usually that gets processed comes out like that real light yellow gold, that real light one. And this is the only strain that's ran by this extractor, his method, that comes out different color. I wouldn't say it's purple, but
have you ever gotten the terpene profile like on your BHO extract?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting to compare the terpene profile on your BHO to the water. But I will bet you, based on you're not seeing the blue color in your solvent-based butane extract, but you're seeing it in the water, I'll bet you it's anthocyanin pigment. I think that's a clue that, based on what you're saying, and it could be something that's, again, in there in such a minor, small fraction of a 0.1%, but it's something that's extremely highly colored, so it casts a shadow over the entire bulk of the material. But being there at such small quantity, it may be something that, again, you need highly sophisticated instrumentation like mass spec to figure out what's in there. So something like what I would do if we were sending this to Discover 64, the first thing that they would do is they'd run an NMR, and we'd actually want to extract out the THCA. So this is always what I've said about looking at the I was going to say the Virgin Mary, not the Virgin Mary. What's that thing? The Mona Lisa. Okay. Looking at the painting of the Mona Lisa across the street, you can see it's Mona Lisa. We need to get the THC out of there, THCA, and look at all of the other components in there. And those are the other components that are probably giving the material color itself. And so first we would do a multi-nuclear NMR, carbon and proton, look for what else is in there, and then throw that thing into an LC mass spec. And these two tests probably cost maybe about $400 or $500 combined together. And then you hire someone like me to help you interpret the data, and we could exactly tell you to the nth degree of everything that's in there. So yeah, this is something that we were supposed to do with the green terpenes, the ones from Indra, but he sort of did not follow through on providing a sample or pushing the project forward. So until those samples are submitted, we will never know what's in Indra's famous green terpenes.
Yeah,
but for anyone who's looking for a lab to determine an unknown in a cannabis extract like this, like, holy shit, what's in there? Send it to Discover 64. They'll tell you exactly what's in there, and you could, publish the results.
Because it's cool. Crazy. When I start with the material, you see the flower, it's purple, it's all fresh frozen, it's dark purple. And as I wash it, the purple leaves the flower. And it's going out in my excess water. And then when the material's done, it it isn't purple no more. It's green, but then the heads are still purple. The heads don't wash away.
That's anthocyanin.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like it.
Yeah. Right?
Water soluble.
Do you agree? And I think that, again, it might be in such a small, minute quantity that you wouldn't normally be able to measure it at a normal lab. But if you send it to Discovery 4 to 64, they'll be able to tell you exactly what's in there.
Okay. Well, I have to say that this has been a wonderful 3 hours chilling with all of you, but I still have a video to post to film here, and we've got a couple of 100 grams of hash to press out. So we're going to make that happen, make a little bit of oil, get some video footage for you. But thanks, Minnesota Dabs, for coming in and talking anthocyanin and other potentials, whatever's in your purple resin. It'll be interesting to follow up with it and see what you're up to. Always a pleasure, Dr. Mark. Thanks for filling us in and educating us with the chemistry behind things, as well as Chimera, always coming in with cool papers and unique cutting-edge information. Etienne and Skunkman Sam, always a pleasure. Johnny B and Darren have split already, D420K, so thank them for coming in. Thank you, Tony, for coming in and showing us the cool vape bar and those Trinity pens, and anyone that I'm forgetting. Shit. Sorry if I'm forgetting you. Thanks to High Integrity Glass Art for hosting Hash Church here at his place today, and thanks for Sasquatch for bringing the M1 and pressing out some resin. We'll see you guys all next week. Peace out, everybody.